All right, we are back. Another book
Back.
club.
So this was 3 weeks,
3 weeks,
right?
three
But
books.
three books.
Another book club first.
Yeah,
3-in-1.
yeah. And
Special.
it was a grind. I was working really straight up until the podcast started,
You were working
trying
nights
to
and
get it done.
weekends
Yeah.
trying to listen, listen in. I finished last night, I think, on
Did you?
cybernetics. Yeah.
There was two things that really set me back. One was right at the start, we had the wildfire crap again, where we like couldn't go outside for three, four
It's crazy.
days.
I feel like Canada got off the hook easy for that. No one's like blaming Canada at all, but it
No.
was their fault. Like,
Yeah. At a certain point, it's like we can't do this every year.
come on, guys.
Yeah.
We like our summers. We want to go
Yeah.
outside. We got books to read.
We got to figure something out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that sent me back because usually I'll like go to the track and listen a bit.
That's
And
cool.
we had the audiobook, so that sent me back. And then the other thing that sent me back was Vox Day. You know, just really sent me back. And I think we're gonna start there. So let's start with your thoughts. You can give us the full title. It was
Okay.
Probability Zero,
So this book
right?
is essentially it's about evolution. Um, I had very high expectation for this book.
So did
Like I
I.
thought it could really be a complete game changer, and I don't think it lived up to that expectation for me for sure. But I think the reason that it didn't live up to that expectation is what was good about it,
Okay.
right?
Trying to follow.
Stay with
Yeah.
me here. So the name of the book is Probability Zero: The Mathematical Impossibility of Evolution by Natural Selection by Vox Day. So I don't know if that's his real name or not, but essentially what I thought this book was going to be, or what I was hoping for, was like evolution is stupid, God is real, God did it, and
Yeah.
that's why God rules. And it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was
He also made it seem like he was just going to dismantle evolution through his understanding of mathematics,
yes, yeah.
which is, I guess, what he attempted to do.
Yeah, so he's like, so again, essentially the whole point, the whole drop of the book is it's mathematically impossible. The classic theory of evolution, which is humans and chimpanzees both descended from a common ancestor through natural selection. Natural selection is when you have good mutations in your DNA that give you a certain advantage, and then you pass those down to people because you're now more likely to survive, and then those genes kind of permeate through your population,
And then,
and those changes kind of become inherent
and
as,
it's like a fixation, right? When it's
yeah,
like 100%. So once
yep.
you reach 100% of people have those same genes, then it's,
Then we call it's fixed in society. So you can imagine someone has blue eyes, that's a mutation, but not everyone has blue eyes, so it's not like a fixed trait of
yeah,
humans to have blue eyes. And that's kind of the whole point of the book.
yeah,
Is he's going like, I'm gonna start from our common ancestor and we're gonna work our way back to where we are today and figure out is it possible to have that many mutations that would be necessary
yeah.
to during that amount of time to make a common ancestor into a human and a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
So I think that is like a very solid theory
Amazing. And I,
case.
I think one of my first notes was this whole book, I think, could have been written in a tweet. And then like but then he actually comes out and says at one point in the book, he goes like this book actually started from a tweet that he sent out.
I
And I was just like, all right, that makes so much sense.
I haven't yeah.
Because he didn't have a book's worth of like really credible new build on this, build on that thing. It was literally like he had a paragraph that was phenomenal.
Great paragraph.
Yeah. And then that was all he had.
Yeah, and I think again I kind of get caught because I had the same note where I
Yeah.
wrote I'm getting nervous once I started to realize that there was like a pattern to the
Yes,
book.
he repeated a
I was like, I'm
lot.
getting nervous that this entire book could be one sentence, which
Yeah.
is like what we kind of just
Yes.
went over.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he thought the same thing.
And it was like you could just tell. It was like it felt like a high schooler struggling to get to three
The
pages.
words.
Yes, and then just like putting in paragraphs that didn't fit whatsoever. Like at one point in the book, he just put in a full line by line breakdown of a debate that he had with some scientists years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, meanwhile, I'm gonna think like he put this in the book. So my first thought is, all right, he's gonna dismantle this scientist and embarrass him. Turns out it's the complete opposite. The scientist absolutely like wiped the floor with him. And then like he came out after,
Which I respect that he put it in.
but then he came out after and was like, he was actually wrong. And I was
I
actually
just didn't know
like,
it at the
I
time.
didn't know that at the time, but now I would say this. And it's just like, that's really not how debates work. You know, like you shouldn't have a debate until you're ready to have the debate. And then you can't go back
Yeah.
after the debate and be like, oh, actually, this was wrong and I should have said this. Like, that's just not how it
Yeah,
works.
he conceded that. He was like, I wasn't ready for that debate, but I
Yeah.
learned a bunch. So it is funny that he put
Put
that
it in
in.
the book.
But I feel like he was so confident in his thing that he just really wanted to hammer home that, like, this just isn't possible. And then he did some side tangents of, like, dunking on biologists and being like, biologists are like the lowest form of scientists.
Yeah.
They don't understand how math
Oh my
works.
God, way too much.
They
Yeah.
just, they, and it was like kind of interesting.
But he was talking about like Stanford's like
Mm,
curriculum guide in this book that they
yeah,
don't have enough math classes in their science thing. And it's just like, what does Stanford have to do with evolution? You know?
yeah, he's proving like a separate point about like science in
And
general.
all he kept saying throughout the entire book was like, this math is so easy, you don't even need to be a mathematician to do it. So it's like that's conflicting what you're now saying that these scientists aren't good scientists because they don't know enough math. It's like you just said this is really simple math. They don't need you know,
True.
quantitative algebraic equations to solve, like,
He was very upfront where he would be like you have to be an idiot to not understand this math, and he would
yeah.
say a bunch of things, and I would be
Oh,
like, I
none of
didn't
it. Yeah,
okay,
none of it. I think the numbers were just too big, where it'd just be like, 10 to the
yeah.
82nd. And a lot of times they were like negative, which like, what is like 10 to the negative 82nd? Like,
So I think it's so essentially he lays out like the math behind it, and he's like, okay, there's this many mutations between humans and chimpanzees, and I think I
yeah,
like wrote down some of the
I
numbers,
think I did too.
which I can try to find, and it takes
Chimpanzees have 205 million mutations from humans.
perfect. So you have 205 million mutations, and then he kind of, using like the models and certain inputs.
So I think he took like the most amount of mutations anything can get in a year, whatever was like bacteria. And that was
Yep.
done in a lab. And he said he used that as the number of like the most amount of
Yep.
mutations.
So he used like the most generous assumptions that you could in favor of evolution
Yeah.
in order to be like, oh, so no, you couldn't get arguments back that like, oh, you were twisting the data. He's like
Yeah.
really trying to push to make, if you were to try to prove evolution has actually happened,
Yeah.
he was using like those inputs.
Yeah. And then he pretty much says like the math can account for 0.00008% of the mutated genes over the time frame and what we know about mutations per year or something along those lines. So basically, there isn't enough time with the amount of mutations that can happen for chimpanzees to have 205 million more
Right.
mutations.
So
And
you
I
can,
was,
go ahead.
yeah, and I think it is a question I think like a lot of people when you first learn about evolution, I think you kind of go to is like, all right, are we still evolving? And like I remember people would talk about like, like our pinky toes have no value. So like people say eventually like humans will be born without pinky toes. But then like the first thing you think of is like, well, when? Like, and it'd be like, oh, it won't happen for like, 500 years. I don't even know if that's still a thing, but I remember that was the thing
I
people
remember,
talk
yeah.
about. Yeah. Um, so like if that mutation is going to take 500 years and humans have only been around for, you know, I don't know, five,
So 20 million.
is it that long?
So the claim in evolution is that, and the estimates are between 6 and 20 million years ago is when the chimpanzee and human common ancestor was on the earth.
It's crazy that it's that long of a time frame.
That long of a time frame ago, and also like the error bars on that are insane.
Yeah.
Like someone will say 6 million, someone will say 20 million. Like that's not close. That's not close at
But
all.
that's also not, so that's the common ancestor.
Yeah, and it's called like the Cacao or something.
I gotta do more anthropology books.
We gotta learn more about
Yeah.
this. But essentially, like, okay, so let's, and then he's like, okay, let's assume it's 20 million years because that's
Yeah.
the start of the thing,
Yeah.
and we know how many million mutations are
So he's
between
even gonna go back all the way to like the
the,
furthest. Yeah.
and then it takes each, you have to have a generation to pass on these different traits because you have to have offspring. So let's assume that a human generation is 20 years, which
Yeah.
is like a very low estimate because people, you can have kids when you're 30 or 40 or higher. And also not everyone has kids, so we kind of assume like everyone's having kids. Generation is 20.
Yeah.
So then you can say like, okay, how many generations does it take for a mutation to fix in the population?
Yeah.
And how many generations are
Has there
in
been?
that 20 million years?
Yeah.
So then you can essentially just look at that total number and be like, is there enough generations for all those mutations to happen?
And it's like not even
And
close.
it's literally, like he said, I wrote some of these down too. The probability of that happening is the same as winning the Powerball, which your odds are 1 in 300 million, 270 million times in a row. You
Yeah.
have a better chance of that than
He did a few of
evolution.
those, which was cool. It was like the math side of it,
He wrote another one, which was,
the grain of sand.
oh, I didn't write that one down, but
Okay.
did you write it?
Nah.
That was a good one.
But I like that one.
To write the amount of zeros in the probability, like 0.000001,
It's like 20,000 pages of the book
it
or
would
something.
take 500,000 pages of zeros, and it would take you 50 years to like write that out by
Yeah.
hand, which is like
It's absurd.
literally insane. So he's saying it's like it's not a matter of did it happen this way or
Yeah.
not. It's like it did not happen this way. Like
So,
there's a 0% chance.
yes. So then all that's good. But again, everything that
I like that.
same, but all that could be said in a tweet.
Yeah, we just did it.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah. And then so what was really scary is this book on audiobook was 11 hours.
Yeah.
So I was going at about a pace of like
It was,
12 minutes a day. And I started getting really scared that I was like, I'm gonna have to tell Paul like I can't finish this book.
I would have been okay.
Yes. And then like fortunately there was apparently 6 hours of like
Supporting math
yeah,
that he puts in the book because he's like, this is it. Like,
yeah,
it's
this is
not
the
it's
math.
not a debate. Like
Yeah.
someone could try to debate me on the math, but you really can't.
Unfortunately we skipped all that.
Yeah, I think it was because he kind of had some appendix for like each chapter, so
Yeah.
it was all just like kind of like support math. So I don't think it was worthwhile to
Yeah.
reread that part.
And I feel like he already repeated himself so much in the book to begin with and repeated a lot of the math, but
Yeah, he gave some other cool examples too, where it was like the Black Death, which we know about from that book we read.
yeah.
He said it's like that is like the most high pressure um evolutionary time in history because you had this gene that protected you from that Black Death. So now
Yeah.
you have 20 to 30% of the population dying who
Yeah.
don't have that gene.
Yeah.
So now you're really helping it permeate in society a lot. And that was in the 11 and 1200s, I think. So let's
Yeah.
say it's been like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
10% of Europe has that gene, and like no one in Asia or Africa has it.
Yeah.
So like even in the most high intensity situation ever,
It doesn't spread throughout the
it
whole.
didn't fixate throughout the population.
Yeah.
So now he's saying like, okay, so if you needed something to actually fixate throughout an entire population, it's not going to take 1,000 years. It's going to take like a million years or whatever that number was that he found. Um, so like and then in his math, he's like assuming that level of permeation through the population. So he's like trying to be as generous as possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
He is.
He did that with again just Genghis Khan too,
Yeah.
where he's like, all right, this is the most people will have like two offspring,
Yeah.
whatever that number is, but he had like thousands.
Yeah.
So he was like assuming that people were reproducing at that rate, and it still wasn't enough to like get something
Fixated throughout the
like
entire.
from his DNA through the whole population.
Yeah. Which so here was what the counter to that argument was. So like in the debate, which is worth listening to, I think for sure, is the scientists pretty much said that you're assuming that in order for one mutation to happen, it takes 20 years, but you could have multiple mutations happening at once. Like you could have 1,000
Hmm.
mutations happening at once. It's not just someone has blue eyes, but someone could have blue eyes, darker skin, lighter hair. Like there could be
Mhm.
thousands at the same time, which again would dramatically change the map. Like it isn't one, if it is one mutation per 20 years, or the most amount of mutations. And it seemed like he didn't have a great argument to that,
I thought he kind of did, where that's where he started talking about the reproductive
like
constraint.
after,
Yeah, after where
right?
he
Yeah,
didn't during the debate, I think. And
yeah,
after he's like, okay, well, men you can have a bunch of as many offspring as you want, let's say
yeah,
essentially, but women you need like 9 months in order to
yeah,
have a child. So like a woman is capped to like 10 or 15 children, and even if you assume that every single woman was having 15 children,
yeah,
it still wouldn't get you
yeah.
there.
I
Um,
also think though
like
a little
there's
bit like you said though with some of the other examples, like
enough generations.
yeah, and if we're talking about something that potentially is 20 million years ago, like we can't possibly compare it to what we know now about now and bacteria and this and that. It's like we're talking about something that we don't understand. We could be talking about the ice age. We could be talking about populations of eight. Like how long would take something take to be fixated in a population if there's the population's eight versus the population is hundreds of thousands or millions? Like you said, Genghis Khan, we're on different continents now and
Now you
all
got now
this.
you got to talk mutations because
Yeah,
you got 8 people, they're not getting that many mutations.
not not yet. Let's say we have eight
Yeah,
people, right?
let's right.
Now we have, let's say, three children,
Let's say
right?
you have a good mutation
Yeah,
that is helps your like hand-eye coordination, and then that's how you won Shoot the Rock championship.
yeah,
And that because only you have that
yeah,
that gene in our population of 8,
yeah.
and you
And
have
that's really valuable in our society.
that's right. And then yeah, and even if it's not like, let's say you have a kid,
Yeah,
you have 3 kids,
yeah.
one of them gets it, or
Let's
let's say
just
two of
let's not even say all the same kids because then we kind of get into
who's
inbreeding and
who
all
yeah,
that.
who's coming
So
in.
let's say I have a kid, you have a kid, and some random person has a kid.
Call him Ben.
Call him Ben. Your kid, loser kid, not good at anything, no hand-eye coordination, can't shoot the rock. My kid can really shoot the rock. For some random reason, Ben's kid also really can shoot the rock. Just, 1 in a million chance that they both happen to have this gene. Your kid's gonna die because he doesn't have anyone else to mate
You need to
with
shoot the rock to
to survive.
to get a mate.
Yes. Now Ben's kid is and my kid get together. Now there's only three kids. So now when your kid dies, they have a kid and their kid automatically gets that gene, and every kid then born after that will have that gene. Like if there's only two people, you
I
know,
see what you're saying. I think it's not 100% that you pass a gene, but if it maybe it's like 50% or 25% because you have like
yeah, the
the mother
numbers
and
the numbers would drastically change things like in terms of how quickly something could be passed on. And I feel like he doesn't really talk about that as much.
you might have just disproven this whole book.
I don't know. I'm not even sure what this book is about to be able to disprove
I
it.
feel like him during the debate because I don't have a great counter argument to it. But I
Yeah,
see where you're going.
I'm with you with the math. Every time you just be like, "This math is really simple.
Yeah,
Like, do this," I would just be like you lost me already. Like, you just be
yeah,
like 10 to the 82nd power
yeah.
generations, and I would just be like, "Slow down." Like, I needed a little bit more of the actual science and a little bit less the math. Like, I almost wish that he wrote this book with like almost just like somebody that had like a foundation, a major in it that wasn't a total expert in trying to prove it, but just someone that could like lay out the groundwork for what are the fundamentals of natural selection, and
Mhm.
then him kind of go back and forth a little bit with him and trying to disprove it.
Yeah. Here's a question I had. This is a question I had before the book. Is why is there no one in between a monkey and a human?
So I think there were, and then I think they died out. Like
And they have no fossils.
I think they do.
And he said the only thing he said was that they don't have fossils of the people in between. Um, but and the reason their reasoning for it is that evolution happens too fast for fossils to be formed, which
Oh,
also like disprove their own theory that evolution takes a really long
I
time.
get what you're saying.
But again, like even you would think with all these mutations happening over time, like
But isn't the
we
fossil in between the common ancestor?
I think he claimed that there's no fossils of the in-betweens.
But isn't the in between the common ancestor that we both came from?
But like the mutations happen slowly over time, so there should be like a version of the in-between with a tail and a leg that's hunched over, and then one's a little bit high, more less hunched over, and
Yeah,
a little bit less, and a
like a
little bit
shorter
less,
tail, a
and
shorter
one with
tail.
a longer tail. Like it should be
Yeah,
like every inch of a tail or something like that should like kind of
tails
go away.
tails don't fossilize though because they're made of cartilage.
Is that fact?
That
What
is a
about
fact.
tailbone?
That's interesting. We do have a
Or
tailbone.
or like whatever it is, if it's like the size of a hand, it's like, all right, you have a common ancestor with like let's say it's a little hand,
Yeah,
and chimps have little hands and we have big hands.
yeah,
Like there should be a lot of iterations of like medium-handed things that didn't survive until their hands got big enough to be humans,
yeah.
right? And like everything in between. And then even
We
now
we
there should
find those
be,
so few of them that it's like I think we just like we find a couple and we're just like, oh yeah, that was this. You know, like when we found like Lucy, I think is like one of the oldest
Mhm.
things. Like I remember looking it up and being like, it was like a 3 foot person. A 3 foot person.
Right.
That's not a person.
That's not a person.
That's some sort of,
You
you
think that's
know,
the cacaw?
that's a cacaw. It's certainly not like, and then like the island of Flores or whatever that is that we've had on the list for a while, where it's just like an entire island of little people.
We have that?
Yeah, that's on our list. Um,
We should read a counter evolution book that's more
yeah,
like pro natural selection, so that way we can understand it
I
before
think
we disprove something we don't even understand.
I think we also need to go to library and do like a literal children's book about evolution first to just get some of the groundwork.
Yeah.
It sounds like we don't understand this at
So,
all.
so like, let's say, why don't some animals evolve at all? It's like a cricket from a million years ago in a fossil, exactly the same as a cricket today,
Perfect.
right?
Perfect creature.
Do you think it's just perfect? But you don't think like crickets with longer legs would have a better chance, or maybe crickets with smaller legs have a better chance because then you're not as easily grabbed by a predator, and then the
But
cricket legs get smaller and smaller, and so you have these like little tiny
but you
crickets.
kind of do, because how many different types of crickets do you have?
And then you think they
There's
kind of
not one.
split
There's not
and
one
split and split, and then
species.
they all survive.
They're the ones that have the good
Right.
adaptations survive. The ones that don't.
But if they're different, then they're all good
Yeah, I
or
mean
good
it's
enough.
it's weird to just be
It's
like
complicated.
there's no in between. Like there is. It's every type of cricket that exists. Like
Right.
every
But there's like obviously a lot of variation in people, but there's no like halfway in between a person and a monkey surviving today. So like the
he talks
halfways
about that
couldn't
though.
survive.
Some people are closer
Some people
in
like
genes,
hairier,
and they also even like if you
or if
actually
you look
check the genes,
for sure,
they are more genetically close to a chimpanzee than you are.
for sure. I'm 0% chimpanzee.
Yeah,
Actually, my posture, I'm pretty hunched
posture
over.
wise, me too.
That might be that might be why I can't fix it. It's just part of my DNA.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a problem, but
It's again, it's complicated. And then at
I
the
especially think how better our shoulder issues would be if we were swinging from trees all day.
that's what we got to be doing.
Yeah,
That's
like I'm wasting my time walking around lifting weights. Like I should just be
we
swinging from
should
the trees like our
probably
ancestors.
should be
Yeah,
actually. And then he kind of at the end goes through what he thinks actually. So then I guess the next question is, okay, if it wasn't evolution
yeah,
that got humans to where we are today, like then what is it? And he kind of goes into his like spiel about that. And he's like, I don't know if it's God or something else,
yeah,
but like he does think that there's some kind of intelligent or non-intelligent influence on what is happening because everything's like so perfect, but also so
yeah. I
imperfect.
agree.
And I felt like that was kind of like made sense to me.
It does. When you don't have the start of something, you don't have the full picture. So like
Yeah.
I think the natural selection thing just to me the thing surviving um based off of like natural selection makes too much sense to not be true. Like it makes too much sense that like a bird that gets its food from inside trees, the birds with longer beaks that are going to have easier access to food are just going to survive at a higher rate than the ones that have shorter beaks, and then ultimately it's going to be phased out of their society and go from there. And it's the same thing with the humans that, 3 foot humans probably was a lot of fun for a little while. So they realize like they can't reach any of the fruits, on the trees and they're too little to get away from certain,
Yeah.
predators and all that stuff, and then they all die out. So it's like I think just the concept of it makes too much sense for it to not at least be part. But again, neither of them have the beginning. Neither of them have, okay, well,
Yeah,
what was the first one?
yeah, because he was kind of like, I'm not exactly sure how we got here. I just know it's not evolution through natural selection. He even had mittens, which is mathematical impossibility of the theory of evolution by natural selection.
Yeah,
I thought was pretty funny.
yeah,
Um, oh, we got one of these guys. Um, so he kind of was just like, hey, maybe it's a simulation, maybe there's something, but you kind of always have to go back to some kind of original creator because then it's like who designed the designers or
yes.
who's creating the simulation and then who created those people. So you're almost always just going to end up
And who
in
created the
some
earth and who created
question that you
space?
can't
Yeah,
answer. So I did like what he said, and my whole point of this, which I like, is that these people, like, it's a theory and but people act as if it's the law that Darwin was correct and it was this is how we got from a common ancestor to today.
yeah,
In reality, it's like Darwin had a good idea, and then it wasn't his fault, but it just became Bible
yeah.
that that is the correct science. And then if you go against that, then you're not getting funding and you're not
Yeah.
getting grants. And he's like, that's not how science works.
I
Like
also think
we have to
there's,
all just be like,
yeah,
we don't know. This is one idea we have, and
well,
then I'm cool,
yeah. It's
right?
also what we do. We overcorrect everything. Like
Oh.
when he first came out with the idea, it made a lot of sense, and everyone was just like, burn this guy, put him in jail. And then, like enough scientists had come out and support, and then enough people came out
Mm.
to support that it then went the other way. It was like, okay, now we need to attack, religion being taught in schools that there's no basis for that either. So,
Overcorrecting. It's like,
yes.
hey, well, maybe there is because we actually don't know how it started,
Yeah.
and maybe religion is the answer there, but we don't know that it is, and we don't know that it's not.
Yeah, it should just be
So,
taught like that. That we have
right,
we have absolutely no idea.
just admit
But
it.
yeah, but these are maybe some possibilities. And then you pick which one
It,
sounds the best to
it
you.
would make it so much more interesting if everyone was like, we don't know the answer to this problem, and
Yeah,
here's like some of our ideas, and everyone can just listen to those ideas and
yeah.
have their opinion.
It's partially what
Make
makes
fun school fun.
it would, and it's partially what makes school such bullshit is like when they ask like a question on evolution, like what's the most likely? You should be able to just write like natural selection's bullshit.
I would try
Yeah,
mittens. Write this guy's book in one
yeah.
sentence.
Which is so badly what I wanted this book to be. I think that's why I was having a tough time getting through it a little bit. Is I so badly wanted this guy to just absolutely dismantle it, so that anytime anyone brought up evolution, I could just be like, evolution's actually bullshit.
I think you can with that one sentence that we said, where
Yeah,
there's just not enough time
I
for
can't
the
even explain it though. Like
all
if
you
they
have
were just like, can you explain it? I just feel like I would end up in the same thing with the thing where you just be like, well, not if multiple evolutions are happening at once, then the time doesn't make any difference. You could have 205 mutations happening all at once, like in what was like we know so little about what was going on back then from the primordial soup,
yeah. I think
to
if you
that.
if you say that the sentence of there's just not enough time between our common ancestor and today, given the amount of number of generations and the amount of mutations that need to happen. And if anyone comes back with any pushback, you say, you don't know math.
That's pretty much what this book is. But I can't support that, you know? Like
I think he did, and it was just hard for us to grasp it. Like he did talk about the parallel mutations a lot.
he
He
did.
did talk about like shorter generations and like he even like I mean well, I think what you say to someone is like, what do you think humans fixate at the same rate as bacteria in a lab? And then once you say that, they know you mean business. And
Yeah.
there, no one is going to debate you on evolution when you
But then I
start
say,
saying
well,
that.
like, well, how often does bacteria fixate in the lab?
It's way faster than humans. Like, there's a perfect
It,
replication conditions.
yeah,
Because
but it's
even
just it's way too many numbers. And then I would say, well, like,
yeah,
bacteria now, who's to say that they acted the same as bacteria 200 or 20 million years ago when they were fighting to survive?
right, like the real answer
Yeah,
is
we
we
don't know.
don't know.
Yeah,
No one knows.
yeah,
And if anyone tells you that they know, they don't.
yeah.
They're probably an ass.
And I felt like this book had a little bit of Book of Witches to it, which is why I thought you might like it. That I think that is the classic Book of Witches is when your main argument becomes like, you can't prove that God doesn't exist. So therefore, you can't prove that witches don't exist. And then you can't prove, if you can't prove witches don't exist, then
Mm.
you can't prove that vampires don't exist. And it's like that line of thinking is just you're not actually proving anything by that. And I thought that that was kind of the problem in this book is by him kind of disproving certain things, he didn't actually prove anything because
You could see that. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't know.
what happened at the
You and no,
beginning.
obviously, no one knows. But I will say that vampires are real because the King of England is a vampire. You know, the King of England. I just found this out. Is a direct descendant of Dracula.
Oh, really?
The
That's a real
literal
person?
Dracula was Vlad the Impaler, who was famous for he'd like, slaughter thousands of people in a war, and he would put all their bodies on stakes to like ward off other enemies.
Yeah, makes sense.
His literal direct descendant, a little straight line down, is right now the King of England,
Who is the king of England?
Prince Charles.
Okay. Is that the same Epstein guy or not?
No, that's I think it's his brother, Prince Andrew.
Oh,
Out of
yeah.
they're probably brothers if they're both princes.
But that makes sense if,
That's and Prince
yeah.
Andrew, the Epstein guy, he goes in an interview and it's like claims he doesn't sweat and like, says all this ridiculous stuff. And now he might be one of the first like people in the royal family to like be arrested for something.
Yeah, I think he went to jail or imagine his jail conditions. Oh, he's probably in jail at the Royal
Yeah,
Palace.
but yeah, we have literal Dracula as the King of England. That's all.
Dracula's and pedophiles
I've
running the
been talking
country.
about that all week, so I'm very once you said vampires,
Yeah.
I didn't listen to anything you said after.
No, yeah, I think
Wait,
that was that was good that you got that in.
waiting to
You
get
don't
it
know when
in.
you're gonna get a chance to
Right, just holding on to it.
check the notes here. Let's see if we
Yeah, we
missed
might be able to wrap up
anything.
evolution here. I think overall, like I'm with you that I struggled to listen to it because it was a lot of numbers and math, and it was very
Yeah,
easy to like drift off and not pay attention on the audio.
yeah,
But I think like the core argument is probably correct. Um, he talks a lot about symposiums.
yeah.
If you remember from six classes, history of the world, what happens at symposiums in Greece? They'd all get like really, really drunk and
Yeah,
have
yeah,
like
that was in the
big
other
gay
book.
orgy.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was in this too.
He would just be like at a symposium. That's like where he would have these debates. And
Okay.
anytime I hear
You
symposium
think of
now,
that book,
I'm
yeah.
thinking big gay orgy.
Um, yeah, there's too many things in this book. Like at one point, he
Yeah.
just talks about his son being in a really cool math class with
Yeah.
like two Fields Medal award-winning parents or something like that, and like
Yep.
just it was way too much math versus science.
Yeah. But again, I think the point was like the math is clear and you can't argue with it, and the
Yeah,
science is like essentially guesses. And he talks about like dark matter, and you hear dark matter a lot. Dark matter is just
like we
they just
don't know
don't
what it
know,
is.
and that's
Yeah,
95% of everything. So when
yeah,
they say like, oh, these black holes and all this stuff in the thing, like 95% of it is made up.
yeah.
Like they don't know, and they're acting like they know.
It's
That's what
like
gets me.
yeah,
Stop acting like you know. 95% is made up.
yeah. You
Right.
can't see a black hole. The only way you know that there's a black hole is if things are maybe not orbiting or
If I say I
disappearing into
know every
something.
single NBA player, and then I make a list and I say LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan, and 95% all the rest are dark matter, like I don't know all NBA players,
No.
right? And that's what physicians and almost every scientist is doing, which
Yeah.
bothers me.
I think
Just
yeah,
say I know some NBA players, and
yeah,
here's some of them.
yeah.
And then be like, cool, man. Like you don't have to know every NBA player. That's
I
cool. Like
I
you don't
think
have to know everything in the universe, scientist guy.
I think that
It's
is like
cool.
very much a hot topic now to do is like to pretty much go at academics and just be like, just because you like took notes like a nerd in class for 20 years, like doesn't mean you know anything, and then they start debating with people that like did all their research online and then they go back and forth and like we saw a little bit of that when who was the guy that talked to Dave Smith, and he was just like, "When's the last time you've been?"
Douglas Murray.
Yeah, Douglas Murray, and he was like, "When's the last time?" Like they're talking about like the Israel Palestine thing, and he's like, "When's the last time you've been?" And then, like the way he said "been" was like cracked me up. It's
Yeah.
like being
Yep. Yep.
to Israel, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't been." He's like, "You haven't been?" Like
How can you talk
yeah,
about
how
it?
can you talk about it if you haven't been? Like, and it's just like they like, how can you talk? Like that is just such stupid thinking, and it's like I think yeah, I
The
mean,
worst kind of thinking you could have.
it's shocking, but yeah, he gives a tectonic plate example I thought was cool that somebody came out and said like, "Hey, I think all the continents were connected together, like fits together like a puzzle, and also we're finding like identical fossils across continents that couldn't have possibly been there unless they were connected at one point." And everyone's just like, "You're an idiot.
Shut the
Shut up."
f And then he like dies, and everyone's like, "Wait a minute, that
Yeah,
tectonic plate guy might have had a
yeah.
point."
Wait a second. I think the plates are moving.
Yeah, like, holy crap! Remember that guy we
Yeah.
killed?
So yeah, I mean, it's not to say that he's wrong. I just think like the problem with this book was he lost me in the debate. Like I wrote, Fox got murdered in a debate with JF, and then he put it in the book, and the guy seemed to make a good point about mutations happening in parallel, not one at a time, which completely like dumbfounded Vox. And he was like, it ended in a tie because JF was old and tired, and I was fine with it. Which is like, that literally is what he said. And then he went back like 6 years later and tried to rewrite his argument, which I just find like pathetic. And if you're gonna rewrite the argument, then get another, either have JF comment on it or get another evolutionary biologist to then redo the debate
Yep,
and
double
then
check it.
yeah, and then have the debate put into the new book 6 months later. Like you don't have to do it in public, just have this guy come on and at least have someone that knows a little bit about evolution to check what you're saying because every time he says it to us, I'm just like, oh shit, like bacteria only mutate this, like that sounds good. But then he like said that same shit to an actual biologist, and he was just like, well, it can be happening in parallel, right? And he was just like, God shit. Like,
I
oh
think we
my
can
God.
both agree that God said, "Let there be light," created the world in 7 days,
Yeah,
and then that's how we ended up where we are today.
yeah.
And let's rate it.
And he said, yeah, he said, take up serpents
Take up
and
serpents in my name,
drink poison.
and you shall be fine.
And I think those snake guys, I think they're closer to figuring out what happened than Charles Darwin or Bobstead.
Right.
Like
Because
I think they're
they're
probably
right in
closer.
between,
Yeah,
and that's probably where you want to be.
I
Is
think
you want to be
so.
in the middle.
Yeah. I think there's yeah. All right, so this is gonna be an interesting rating.
Yeah, I had trouble. I'm having trouble thinking of a number, but I'm just gonna go with my gut and not overthink it. I I like the theory. I like the point. I like getting the quick facts that I can kind of repeat, and
Yeah,
I'll keep those with me when I need them.
yeah,
But I did struggle to get through the book, and it could have been one sentence, which
yeah,
is hard, to get over.
yeah.
So with that in mind, and thinking about some of our past books where I rated them, I'm gonna give this a 4.1.
Wow, that's high.
Really?
I got a 3.0.
Wow.
I think it's not quite in my two range.
3.5 is probably right.
Yeah. It's it's a good idea. It's just I think what really kills me is that I want a book that I can tell people about and feel like I can talk about it. And like we talked about Deep, where like I feel like every chapter of Deep, I could just go up to someone and be like, "You want to talk about sperm whales for a little bit?" Or
Hmm.
like, "Do you want to talk about the free diving world record champion?" And
Yep.
like I just feel like every chapter was like something that I wanted to talk about, something that I could actually talk intelligently about. If someone tried to talk to me about evolution, I would sound just like a dumber version of Box Day in the debate,
Yes.
where I would just be like, well, mutations, they happen slowly. And like, yeah, it's been a long time since like that.
Too long.
Yeah. But like
I
like I
Yeah,
just
I see what you're saying. I can't argue too hard in favor because I really don't like going below threes and below fours unless really dislike something.
yeah.
I feel like I got enough from it, and that's why we're at where we're at.
Yeah, and I think we're probably right. I think in between three might be harsh. It, I'd like
It's
to
not
know,
fully wrong. It's not.
do we know what its Goodreads rating is? And should we check really quick?
Check on that,
And
and
then,
then you'll see the other. Then I will flip it to the next book too.
yeah, we'll update progress on currently reading here.
Let me know if you need a bring in a second.
Oh, wow. It only has 44 rating.
Okay, about that 45.
What do you think it is?
I think it's high. I think it's like a 4.3.
4.61. That is
Whoa.
incredibly high.
Yeah. But I think people who read this book know math,
Yeah,
and if you know math, like actually know it,
yeah,
and then you understand everything, you probably get so much more from it. Like we got a little bit because we only know a little bit of math.
that's true.
I think that at the end of the day, it's a math book, and you need to know math.
I think a lot of people, like, just based off some of these comments, it does seem like a mix of two different people with the 5 stars. One is the math. Arthur, 6 months ago, 5 stars. Assuming the various statistics and empirical results quoted, I've heard enough. That guy's a math guy.
Yeah, shout out Arthur.
Yeah. And then you got David, who just hates Darwin. He goes, Darwin's idea doesn't work, cannot work, and most likely wasn't supposed to work. Like this guy,
David.
Yeah, David doesn't know math at all.
He
But
just
he
hates
he
stuff.
got word that someone's writing anti,
Yeah.
Darwin books. He never forgave him.
He probably got like an F on a Darwin paper in fourth
Yeah.
grade. Never turned back.
So yeah, I don't know if 44 really tells us a lot, but our 3.5 is going to bring that down a little bit.
I think that's okay. I think it needs to come down a little bit, and I think we're going to be that correcting measure, and that's what we're here for.
We are.
Yeah. And do you have the next book handy?
Yeah. So the next book is Psycho-Cybernetics, A New Way to Get More Out of Living, to Get More Living Out of Life by Maxwell Maltz.
Perfect. And just quick background of why I added it. I saw Duncan Trussell mentioned it on Theo Vaughn's podcast
Okay.
like 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
or whatever it was. And the premise was that he gave, and the premise of the book was plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
People are coming in like, hey, I have no confidence. I
Yeah.
can't do this. I want to talk to people. I need a new nose. Like, that's all I
Yeah.
think about is my nose. And he would fix their nose, and he would find that they would not be fixed. And
Yeah.
he'd be like, the problems were in their head versus like on their nose
It
or
was
like on their
like their
face.
image of themselves instead of their
Yeah.
actual image. But some people it did fix.
Yep.
And those people, it was actually the issue. Um,
Yeah. So like again, like that was a premise, and I thought that was super interesting. I had no idea it was like a self-help book.
yeah, so the first thing he says is like that this is considered like the Bible of self-help books.
Yeah.
So as soon as he said that, I was like, we know self-help books in this book club. We've done a bunch. We love them.
Yeah.
If you would have said like, are you interested when I was younger of like a self-help book, I'd have been like, I don't need that. Get that away
I
from
would have
me.
made fun of anyone who read it.
Now I need all the help I can get.
So much help.
Yeah. And I do feel like these self-help books really do help. And yeah. First note is the same as you. So plastic surgeon who noticed that people could not change their life until they changed their self-image. Some people could change their appearance and it would help. Others it didn't help because their appearance wasn't the problem. Their own view of themselves were. Some people had an actual reason. So like some people had a huge nose. And when that was fixed, it actually did fix their own self-image where they then gained confidence and was able to be more of like the person that they actually are, which I think makes total sense. I think you see it in, I think especially when you're younger, like people that, don't have a lot of confidence when they're younger really tend to not have much of a personality and don't give you a lot because I think they're just always so much more worried about their own self-image and how they look and all that stuff that, and then some people maybe should be more reserved,
Yep.
but they're really out there and all that and have a great personality and just very carefree way of living.
It is weird just in general how different people's personalities are.
Yeah.
Like some people you meet and they're just like awesome.
Yeah.
And they just have give such good energy and such a good personality. Some people are just all full.
Yeah.
And like it's just weird that in such similar environments, like people turn out so different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason for why they turn out different varies depending on, I think, so many different things. I think the success thing was really interesting to me, like how he kind of quantified successful people and unsuccessful people. But I also like that he said like it's a way higher number of people that he thinks are like successful than
Yeah,
like,
because
and that was one of my questions is like when you were listening to this, did you feel like you were one of the people that he was like saying like you need to have more confidence and let go of your own insecurities, or did you feel like he wasn't necessarily talking to you, he was talking to someone way more reserved?
I actually wrote this down where I'm like, I don't know where I fit in. Where it's like
Yeah.
I don't have like a very specific goal or problem in mind.
Yeah.
Where it's like I am too nervous during sales meetings and I don't
Yeah.
make sales and I need to like fix that problem. Or I'm too shy at a party and I need to like break out of my shell. But like I need help.
Yeah.
I need help
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Like God,
Yeah.
God knows I need
Yeah.
all the help I can get.
I feel like it's probably somewhere in between that.
Right, so it's like I'm looking for like help on the margins of things. Like I could like be at a party and like kind of be totally cool, but then I could also be somewhere and like not totally present of like how awesome things are and like be in a
Yeah.
grumpy mood when I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And like I'd love to like not do that and be like, oh, this is actually like really cool and I should like be appreciating it now instead of like,
Totally.
5 years from now.
When you're actually present in something, and like he talks about this a ton in the book of actually like going back and thinking about those times of like true
Hmm.
happiness and when you're actually totally present in something and how it made you feel. I feel like it is like unparalleled to other happy events. Like you could be somewhere that's really cool, but if you're not like totally present in the moment and just taking it in and fully experiencing life, it doesn't have like nearly the same effect.
Right. And even like if you do something at the time like versus like 10 years later, you're always going to look back on it like fondly, like, oh, those, college was so awesome or something like that. But like if while you were there, you were like complaining every day about class and all this other stuff, and you were like actually miserable. And now it's just the idea of it when you should realize during the time that like that actually is awesome what you're
Yeah.
doing, which no matter what it is.
Yeah. I think as you get older, I think you do get better at that too. That like I think you're less self-conscious about everything that you're doing. Like if you said
Yeah.
like when we were like 19, 20, if we tried to do a book club and post online, I think I think we would have done it possibly, but I think alcohol would have been a big factor in it.
Hmm.
But I think like in a sober thing we would have never done it. I think we also wouldn't have been that comfortable putting it online.
Right now, alcohol is only a little factor,
Yes.
and words all I want to talk about to anyone is books,
Yeah.
book club.
And self-improvement and
So that makes sense, and it's a lot about like what you mentioned about like being conscious about it,
yeah.
where it's like there's a lot of like other book crossover in this book, where he had a lot of like Neville Goddard
Yeah.
type of like conscious versus subconscious.
You went everywhere in this book.
Yeah, so like a piano player is not like consciously thinking about the next key that they're gonna hit, and like
Yeah.
that's what makes them so good about it because they've like trained that into their subconscious
Yeah.
versus someone who's really awkward at a party is like really consciously thinking about everything that they're doing and saying, and it kind of inhibits your ability to like act naturally and freely. So I thought that was like a cool thing where it's like once I start overthinking what I'm doing or saying,
Yeah.
there's no recovery. Like you're not gonna act normal or have a good performance if you're like overthinking what you're gonna say,
Totally.
right? You have to kind of just, he said for some people you have to think less before what you say
Yeah.
and just kind of get it out there. And like that will give you the confidence to kind of act more free flowing. And then
Yeah.
some people might have to go the other way where you have to think a little bit more about what you're gonna say.
Yeah. And I think some people naturally just have a shittier personality too. And that's gonna
S-
be tough for them. Like
Some
if you
people
just
they
have
just stink
yeah, if you just
and
have a
there's
bad
no hope.
personality, you gotta tone it in. And I think that's kind of the challenge. And he does mention it at the end of the book, which I actually liked, is that like for some people it's about working more towards your goals. And then for some people it's actually about working less towards your goals. That like some people all they do is work and then their biggest regret is they never relaxed and spent time with their family and enjoyed the hard work that they did. And then some people it's the opposite. It's about finding that balance, which I think is like the challenge of this book is like you want to be free enough and comfortable enough with yourself to like not be so reserved, but you also can't just be like showing up at work and being like, let's talk about snakes and the Ozarks, today instead of doing work. Like
Mhm.
you have to be able to like reel it in and function in society a little bit.
For sure. One thing we kind of skipped was the elephant in the room, which is not the author, but the second author,
Yeah.
Matt Fury.
Yeah.
What did you feel about that situation?
So what I understood about it is he pretty much, so he was this really good wrestler and he went to Iowa and had like the really famous coach Dan Gable and was a really good wrestler. Then he wasn't good enough to really make it at Iowa, so he went somewhere else and went on. And I think he was like looking for something after wrestling to almost like give him purpose, and he ended up finding Psycho-Cybernetics, and then he ended up like loving it so much, and it changed his life that he ended up buying it, and then doing like tours all over the country, essentially explaining it, and then I guess that's how he was able to essentially write this book. Is like he, I guess, didn't write the book, but he added in little tidbits at the end of every chapter about like how to use what was said in the book, which again, I actually like that. Like take a
Yeah.
minute and think about that. Like
Yeah.
I like when someone explains to me what,
True.
we could have used that in the last book a little bit.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna hate his interjections
No,
and him like
actually,
because you can make the argument that like you love this book so much and you kind of bought the rights to it,
yeah.
and then you're like now
Now
adding
you're
your own
selling it.
thing into it
Yeah.
versus like the book that you really liked didn't
Yeah.
have any of your stuff in it
That's
and it
true.
helped you,
Yeah.
and now you're like trying to make it about yourself.
I could see that.
So I
It's
thought you were gonna come in hating
no.
that.
I mean, you catch me on the wrong day and I might. You know how I get with that type
Yeah.
of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
But I didn't feel like he was I didn't get the impression that he was pushing the success of Psycho-Cybernetics. I got the impression that he genuinely wants to help people.
Yeah. I think, and I didn't hate it either. But it did kind of was like, oh,
Yeah.
you could take it that way.
But then if I even get the slightest win that he's trying to sell something to me, he's dead to me. But it didn't seem like that. I didn't hear anything about like him
Yeah,
being
like
like,
the original author, I think 100%, it seemed like he was genuinely wanted to help people.
yeah,
Like he went from his plastic surgery, realizing people are changing their outward appearance, and it's actually all about your self-image,
yeah,
which is very like denial of death, character armor type
it
of thing,
is.
where like you have all these life experiences, and based on that, you have like this image of yourself, of what you think you are. And then everything that you do is now contained within that self-image.
Yeah,
So like you're essentially putting guardrails on yourself because you're like, oh, I'm not the type of person that speaks in public. Like I'm not good at that.
yeah,
Or I'm an F student, and then you kind of get more Fs because you're
yeah,
putting that on yourself. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna study
yeah,
because I'm just an F student. I'm not good at math. And it's actually that self-image that is the problem. So what I loved, my favorite sentence of the book was like, I started to look at my patients as more than just like a nose to fix and like a total package of a person that has like a mind, body, spirit.
yeah,
So he stopped doing plastic surgery, or at least added in this like therapy sessions
yeah.
in it, which I thought was really cool. Like I thought he was like very genuine, and
No,
he wrote in
totally.
1960, I think.
Incredible, and I think like so easy to read. I think sometimes like some of the books go way over my head. This one I thought didn't at all.
Yep.
Like I thought like all of his examples were relevant. They all made sense. I think he touched on a bunch of different things and nothing seemed like it was totally like out of the place of the book. Like he talked about that self-image and that belief. He talked about the power of like imagining things like how a boxer does shadow boxing, where there's no consequence for messing up, and all you're doing is getting mental reps, and the value of those mental reps in in like a positive way. And like I think that goes into like the Conor McGregor thing where a lot of those people genuinely believe like they seem like such nut jobs and all this stuff, but then you find out they really believe in like some weird guru type stuff of
Hmm.
like vision boards and those things. And it's like he kind of gave why vision boards work in this book. That if you believe it enough, in yourself and you commit to it enough and you don't put too much pressure on yourself, so many
Yeah.
more things are achievable.
Yeah, he talks a lot about like practice without pressure, which
Yeah.
I think makes a lot of sense. And the imagining thing, which I liked.
Which is crazy. That seems like it doesn't make sense. Like the golf example he gave was like if you go outside and practice golf for 30 minutes every day versus if you stay inside your house and imagine practicing golf for 30 minutes every day, you'll actually do better playing golf with the imagining rather
It's
than the actual playing.
he said it with darts too, where
Yeah,
if you sit in front of a dartboard and imagine yourself throwing darts into the bullseye,
yeah,
it's more you'll improve more
yeah,
than and they did studies on this, so
yeah,
he's just like quoting the studies. You'll improve more than if you actually stood there and threw darts,
yeah,
which to me, I think you might need like a mix of those two things,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but I do think there's value in the imagining
yeah,
and like putting yourself in that position, like if you were to do a speech and you practice it without pressure
yeah,
beforehand, actually out loud, like envisioning yourself in front of people or, where you're going to be, what are you wearing, and like
yeah,
actually made it really detailed, you're going to do better at that speech than if you don't do that. I
yeah.
think that's 100%.
Yeah, and the breathing, the pressure, like he touches on so many different things in this book, and I thought all of it, I didn't find really flaws with any of it. Emphasize like meditation being just so important, and now this is like we talk a lot about the things that come up across a bunch of different books. Meditation seems to be one that comes, meditation
We
and
gotta
breathing.
get, I've been a little bit better.
Yeah,
I'd say I've hit like two a week since we read Deep,
yeah,
because like that was part of Deep again,
yeah, yeah.
and maybe there's another book. Um,
But yeah, no, I
I Neville
definitely need to
Goddard.
get better. Yeah,
Because and it's very funny that one of his main pieces of advice was like just like 30 minutes a day, like just relax,
yeah,
like get in your most comfortable chair, close your eyes, envision yourself doing the thing that you want to be better at doing,
yeah,
and and then you will get better at it. But
yeah,
just the idea of like, me with like a crazy house and like your wife's trying to like do something and the baby's going and it's like I need to sit here for 30 minutes
and imagine
and
how to have a better book club.
I need to I need to envision myself having a podcast
Yeah,
for 30 minutes a day is hilarious.
it is.
And a lot of his advice was like because he wanted you to relax.
Yeah,
So it was like if you have a test the next day, like instead of studying, go outside.
yeah,
And I was like, this is awesome.
yeah.
Like, I
No,
can
yeah,
definitely do that. And you get the idea of like, after a certain point, you're not going to retain much more
yeah,
information. So you're better off like resting your brain, relaxing,
yeah.
building your confidence versus studying more.
And I think he's so right about some of the things that he says. Like, I was so bad with this when I was a student growing up that, like, I would stress and worry about a test all week instead of just actually studying. And then, like, an hour before the test, I would try to cram and or try to cheat. And it was just like never. And then I'd get the test back and I would just be like, I'd be like nervous before I even got it back. Then
You
I'd
know,
see that I failed and then be very nervous. And like, it's just like all these negative emotions associated with a test, a stupid test.
Mhm.
And like he was like, if you put that energy into just, studying a little bit, studying as much as you feel comfortable studying,
And then
and
taking a
then
nap.
yeah, and yeah, taking that and live with the results and be fine with the results, and you're
Mhm.
going to be so much happier and you're going to end up being a better student because you're not going to put that much pressure on yourself to do well on the test, and and that
Mhm.
makes a difference. Like, and I think all that is right. Like I remember Boyajian was in like a really tough literacy class with me, and it was like me, Carl, Boyajian, and I like wasn't really friends with Boyajian at that point. And like me and Carl would sit next to each other, and we would just get back like straight D's and F's. And I remember like Boyajian, I thought was really smart and was always like really involved in the class and always like joking around. And he got back the first test and he just like burst into laughter. And I think he got like a 23%, but was like so didn't care. I've never seen a kid in high school like not care. And like from that moment, I always thought Boyajian was stupid because like he was getting 23s
Yeah,
and
he was
laughing,
smart.
but he was Psycho-Cybernetics. Like he put
Yeah.
in the work, he tried in class, he paid attention, and he lived with
And
whatever
then he
happened.
took a nap.
Like
That
he
was
took a nap and he
it.
lived with the 23.
Yeah,
But it's like it's such a better way to go. We're all failing. But he's at least failing with a smile on his face and he's at least giving it his
exactly.
effort and he's fine with failing because he's giving it, whatever he wants to give it.
Right. This is, and he gave another good example with the dentist. And he's like, if you're afraid of going to the dentist and like you worry about it, worry about it, worry
Yeah.
about it, like you, first of all, you can not go,
Yeah.
and that's an option for you. And I was like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but if you do decide to go, you made that decision. So like just go and you know that you're gonna be okay
Yeah.
and don't just like constantly worry about it because like you made that decision yourself
Yeah.
and now like just kind of go with it.
And the fact that this book was written, I didn't know it was that old because it feels like all these are like newer,
Yeah,
you
they
know?
re I think he did a newer edition like 50 years later. This is
Okay.
the main guy
Okay.
before the second guy came in and just like
Yeah.
bought it. So I don't, it's hard to know like what was updated and what wasn't, but I
Yeah.
agree that it like it holds true, for anyone.
Yeah. Very much. I would say that I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I think I got a lot out of it in terms of like like focus on like the successes that you have and like build gradually from there.
Yeah.
Because like it could be as simple as like remembering really vividly when you learned how to tie your shoes for the first time,
Yeah.
and then you completed doing that, and then like you can now build upon that and like okay, I can succeed at doing things.
Yeah.
Like I think that's fully real, especially if you're like a depressed person. Let's say you can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
You're so depressed, you're like I can't move. And like if you get that person, to even just be like, move your finger, and
Yeah.
they're able to do it. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, like move your arm, and
Yeah.
now they can do that. Like so that's like a real thing. It's like, oh, actually move your leg, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden like you took that person like really small successes from
Yeah.
like not being able to get out of bed to now like walking around, and that's like I think that's like a real thing that like you can apply to anyone in any situation
Yeah.
that you're trying to do.
And he talks about like the things that you need in life, and I think all those were right, just in terms of like, you need a hobby and a goal, and you need love and you need
Yep.
like comfort. You need, like all those things I think are really important. And I think sometimes we don't prioritize some of those, like the people that live paycheck to paycheck. It's going to be tough for you to feel comfortable when you're, waiting on a paycheck.
100%.
Yeah.
He also talked a lot about like people always underestimate themselves, or like mostly will be underestimating themselves versus overestimating themselves.
This
It's
is so true.
like you think you can't do something,
Yeah.
you think you're worse at it than you really are.
'Cause someone will say like, I am an F.
Situations. Let's go outside.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
like people say like I am an F student. Like I'm not as smart
right?
as this person. And it's like that is true. That like people aren't just all the same intelligence and just, like you go to the same school with a bunch of people. You could be like have one of the lower IQs in the class or be one of the worst students in the class. But his whole thing is like, it doesn't matter if you're one of the worst students and like everything is temporary. So like, yeah, like I may not be as smart as this kid, especially right now, but you're never going to get any closer if you, close your mind or like fully believe that.
You put yourself in a box, and
Yes.
then you're only gonna do that.
Yes. Instead of it just being like, all right, stop comparing yourself to this guy. Like, what can I learn this week? How can I be better? What am I good
Mhm.
at? And then just kind of build on that.
Act as if you can't fail,
Yeah.
and then you'll continue to. And so the whole point, like psycho-cybernetics, is like he's like the brain is essentially very
Machine.
similar to a machine in
Yeah.
terms of like it sends signals to your body to do stuff. We don't really know how that works. So like, and then there's like a failure mechanism where if you fail, you iterate and you like retry again, and it teaches your brain to actually do things differently.
Yeah.
So like if you imagine yourself picking up a pen off a table,
Yeah.
like you don't really know what you're doing to make that happen, but like your fingers are just gonna do it.
Yeah.
But then if you turn off all the lights and try to pick up that same pen, you might miss. But then it sends a failure mechanism to your brain, and then you iterate and you move your hand a little bit, you move your hand a little bit until you're able to pick up that pen. And then you're kind of like teaching your brain how to like find that in the dark. And you can do that through like anything that you're doing in life in terms of like
Yeah.
keep failing, letting yourself fail, and then continuing to like make improvements over time.
Which again, like eh, I do try to say that a lot as a teacher that it's like, your brain's a muscle and it's like in order for you to improve that muscle, to make that muscle stronger, you gotta use it, you gotta stress it, you have to make it like uncomfortable at times and like,
Yeah.
over time and I think that is like it's so true. But
100% true. And he actually talked about the science behind it too, which is like you're actually like building like new. neural pathways in your brain
Yeah.
when you're doing something new and learning for the first times.
I have heard that it's like your brain is the most sophisticated recording device that's ever been constructed, which is like so cool to think about that your brain
Yeah.
like it logs and categorizes like every image, sense, touch, like smell, feel, like every single thing from essentially the moment that you're born to the moment that you die, and it's just you only have access to, the parts that your brain deems worth essentially you remembering, but it doesn't mean that they're not all recorded, and that's why like the savants and the people that like some of them it can be from a brain injury that they'll have a brain injury and all of a sudden they have access to parts of their brain that they never had access to, and it's like they'll speak Spanish even though
Mhm.
they've never learned Spanish and nobody in their house speaks Spanish, but it's like they speak it because over their entire life they probably walked by enough people speaking Spanish that their brain has accumulated enough data in order to do it, which is just like so crazy to think
Yeah.
about that we have something that powerful within us.
And I think that's where he's getting at with like the relaxation and like transferring things from your conscious to your subconscious, where you're imagining yourself throwing darts, but you're actually building like those pathways in the brain that know
Yeah,
how to do it in a certain way versus just practicing is not necessarily going to be
yeah,
doing that same exact thing where it's like actually like not just hippy dippy stuff, it's like real scientific things that are happening.
yeah. Which is again why I really like this, and um, I feel like there was a lot of this stuff that you could definitely like put into practice.
Yeah.
I said where I struggle with this is sometimes like letting go of your fears and trying is so much easier to say than actually do. Like, and then certain things, I don't know if I want to do it. Like, he kind of used like the salesman as an example a bunch. And I know it's something we've talked about a lot with the Luigi Mangione thing. And it's just like, I think certain things are kind of like skeevy things. And that's probably the 50-year ago thing is like being a salesman 50 years ago is not considered a skeevy thing. But like now, I think like I didn't feel comfortable when I was like 17. I remember my parents being like, "Why don't you go sell like knives door to door?" And I was just like, "I don't want to take advantage of these people." Like,
Right. They're only buying from you because they're like, oh, this is like Griffith, the
yeah,
kid, and
yeah. And I never felt comfortable with that, and I still wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
I'm the worst salesman.
Yeah. So it's like I think like some of the things are tough. It's like, yeah, I do agree with them that if you could let go of that thing of like feeling bad about doing it, but I don't know if you necessarily should. I like that I'm not that type of person, that I
Hun-
won't put money above
Yeah,
my
100%. I think
moral.
that's totally fine. I tried to focus it in a way that like, oh, what do I care about?
Yeah,
So I was like, I care about having a book club.
yeah,
So I was like, okay, like what are things that might I might be afraid of with the book club? Is like
yeah,
people might make fun of me for reading books, talking about them, and
yeah,
posting it onto the
yeah,
internet.
yeah.
And it's like I shouldn't focus on that part of it. I should
Nah,
focus on the success part. Like what does success in a book club look like to me?
fun.
And that's fun.
Yeah,
Reading books, like learning new things,
yeah,
and then talking about them,
yeah,
and then telling other people that I'm doing that too.
yeah,
And it's like I should just be focusing on that part of it and just
yeah.
continuing to do that.
You can't let these comments get you down.
These comments,
Yeah,
people dropping F-bombs on me.
yeah. I mean, I was shocked to see it, but it
Shocking.
seems like this book came at a good time for us. That we're gonna shake that F bomb right off.
The internet comments are a scary, scary place.
Um,
But I love it.
I do
I
too.
actually really enjoyed the
Yeah,
comments.
even the F bomb one.
Yep, yep.
And when you're right, you're right. When you post a clip and you're talking about a book and you don't mention what the book is, people are going to be upset with that, and they should be. And I think that guy has every right to that.
The commenter was correct on that
Yeah.
one for sure. I'll give him that.
What else did I say?
It's also a lot about like stress and how that like ages you faster and like how you can
Yeah,
get more out of life if you're not having any stresses. I think that's like obviously 100% true.
so
And he
important.
was saying it so early on before it's probably known.
If I could wish like one thing for I think the people in my life and people that I really care about, it wouldn't necessarily be like more money. I think it'd be like less stress.
Yep, caring
Like
about money less,
yeah,
probably.
and just yeah, just enjoying what you already have more.
Right. Enjoy it because, dude, everything we have, like, it's pretty sweet
It
what
is.
we have going on right now, and everyone is always complaining about everything.
And if you compare it to like what it was, to like,
There are people in the world right now, today.
yeah,
Someone woke up with like a flesh-eating bacteria that like ate out both of their eyeballs.
yeah,
I'm like, that didn't happen to me
yeah.
this morning when
And
I woke up, and like
they
I'm
probably handle that, and their family probably handle that way better than like someone here like stubbing their toe or like
like I
garbage
just
not being
missed the red
collected on
light.
time.
I
Yeah,
just missed the light, and I got like more pissed than that guy got. And like,
yeah,
so I'm really trying to focus on waking up and just being like super pumped.
yeah,
Just like today is like another opportunity for like an awesome day, and like
yeah,
let's go. Like I get to go to the gym,
yeah,
go to like eat real food and like hang out with my family, see friends. Like
yeah.
it's actually not that bad.
No,
Like I should really, and I still get like sometimes I'm tired, get a little grumpy,
yeah,
a little hungry,
I know.
extra grumpy, and like I need to.
I feel like kids can make that so much worse too, because kids are actually stressful.
It's just like you
But
take that many hours of sleep out, it makes it
yeah,
that much harder to
yeah.
be on that end.
Then you're also, instead of worrying about yourself, you're worried about someone else, which is always inherently more stressful than worrying about yourself.
Hmm.
So I hope that, people can do a better job of just, what will be, take care of what you
Yeah,
can take care of, and don't feel hurried. That was a big thing for me. Like
yeah,
sometimes when I'm at the gym, I'm like, all right, I want to finish this up so I can get home, so I can shower, so
every
then I
day,
can eat, and then I can like go to bed early, and like I,
every day.
I feel so much worse like when I do that. When I finally do get home and shower and then start watching TV, I feel so much worse because I know I like rushed the end of my workout, and I just feel like more drained when I don't do that, and I'm just like I'm enjoying this workout, and I'm gonna take my time, and I'm gonna sauna after, and then I'm gonna shower after the sauna, and then I'm gonna take my time walking out. I'm gonna take my time driving home. I'm gonna take my time making
Right.
dinner. I
Because
just
it's
end
gonna
up,
be okay.
yeah, and then you just end up like even if you go to bed an hour later because you took your time on all that stuff, you end up going to bed so much happier in such a better mood and like feel so much more productive.
Yeah, because you're less stressed. Like sometimes I get in that
Yeah,
with walking the dog, where I get so frustrated that like if she's going slow or doing something like that, where
you
like
gotta
I
get
just
that
need
back.
right, I gotta go back, I gotta do this, I gotta do that.
Yeah,
Whereas if we're just going and I'm not on a time frame and I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, then it's like totally good.
yeah.
Hey, awesome.
Wow, congrats.
Jealous.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. That was my next question. Are you ready to do some fishing? Awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be great up there. Of course. Oh, perfect. Yeah, we can definitely help with that. That's easy. We'll bring Rosie over to say hello. Yeah, she's a pro. Enjoy the trip. Have fun.
Um, couple other notes here.
I didn't discuss your question.
Yeah,
He talks in here a lot about forgiveness,
yeah,
like how it's important to like forgive yourself for things, forgive other people for things.
yeah.
And I was like, have you or I ever really forgiven someone for something? Or do you just get to the point where you stop caring about it, or it becomes like disadvantageous to you to continue to not forgive them? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think,
I
yeah, I think I'm really bad at at doing things that I perceive as difficult or uncomfortable. So it's much easier for me to just like step away from something
so
than it is for me to like confront something
I'm,
that's bothering me.
I'm the best at
Yeah.
stepping away from
So
something.
I think we have that very much in common. Um, but I also, yeah, I don't think either of us are very like confrontational people.
Right. But I'm really good. If someone apologizes, I'll be like, I'll forgive. Like I have no problem forgiving someone for
Yeah,
something. But I was thinking, it's like, am I really forgiving them, or do I just like not care? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And if someone did something to me that I really cared about, like let's say someone whose like wife cheats on them,
yeah.
and then they get to a point where it's like, I forgive them, I understand why they did it. Like I don't know if I could ever get there,
I could never.
or like maybe I could make it the case where hey, I have a family, I have kids. It's more advantageous to me to say that I forgive her to keep the family together for their sake.
But so few people
But
actually
I
do.
wouldn't actually mean it.
No.
You know what I
And then it would
mean?
get progressively
Like, can you
worse.
actually forgive someone for doing something like really bad? Like, luckily, no one's really done anything like that bad to me where like
Yeah,
like I just don't care after like 10 minutes, whatever.
Sam. But I
Like
never
it's
could,
right, like
because I
it's
would always hold it against them.
right, and like I think that is probably the same for like everyone,
I think so.
right?
Which is again, we go to like
Like,
Untethered Soul, and it's
can
like,
you convince yourself that you can live with that
yeah,
versus do you have to like completely separate? But
yeah.
like, is forgiveness a real thing?
I think it is, but it has to have bounds. Like we talk about with Untethered Soul, it's like I love that book because it really helped me with, and this book, same
A
thing.
lot of
It's like,
crossover.
yeah, a lot of crossover, and it really helps you with a lot of day-to-day stuff. And then sometimes with the more serious stuff, and he actually brought something into this book at the end that was like really like I was like a little taken back by. But like the serious stuff, like with Untethered Soul, he'd be like, you're in traffic. Do you
Hmm.
need to really get upset right now? It's like, I totally agree. We're on a big spinning rock in space. Like, put things in
Good
perspective.
checks.
Yes. But then he's like, all right, like your mom dies. Like, do you really need to get upset right now? And I was just kind of like, whoa, hold on. Like, I know I wouldn't be able to just, I
Right.
can't just throw on Untethered Soul and get over the fact that, like, a sibling dies. And he talks about this like at the very end. He said like Dan Gable's sister, so like the very famous, one of the most famous like wrestlers in American history. He's a very famous wrestling coach. His sister was like brutally raped and murdered. Do you remember that at the very
Yeah,
end?
yeah.
Really weird that he kind of put that in. And he kind of talks about how like Dan Gable like kind of stepped up, and they were like talking about selling the house, and he was like, "I'm gonna move into my sister's room and
Because
preserve her
the room was
legacy."
empty and it was just like a reminder to everyone about what
Yes.
happened. And then he was like, I'll move into the room so that way it helped everyone kind of move on
Yeah.
from it. I get so torn on that because it's like, yeah, you probably need to move on, but also like, I don't know if I want to move on
Yes,
from
Sam.
something like that where
Or
it's like
like
you don't want to
even,
like just
yeah,
forget them.
be totally able to move on. So
There's like a balance.
there is, and I yeah, but I just like how he kind of covers everything. Studies, there's random studies in here that I love. That when you're working out, me and Kev were just talking about this because he was like, I hate when people like run or make noises in the gym. And I'm not like a loud noisemaker, but like if I'm going to absolute failure,
You gotta be.
yeah, I'm gonna be making some noises, some deep breaths, something's like, and I have my headphones in, so I don't really hear myself. So it's like I kind of know I'm making a little bit of noise over here, not loud,
Right.
but like
Respectful.
respectful. And but he said like studies show when you grunt or yell when working out, you get 15% more strength.
Dang.
So next time I'm grunting, I'm just be like, look, I need that 15% on that set.
I did a couple grunts today. I found myself grunting and
Yeah,
thinking of the book while I was doing it.
yeah,
I mean, it's hitting legs today, had to be
you
grunting.
have to.
And I think it helps.
Yeah,
I'm at the end of my leg workout. I'm on the hamstring curl machine,
yeah.
just trying to
Just a
bang out
little
some
something
reps.
extra. I think you know what I even find at the gym that's really helpful is shedding layers as you go through your workout.
That's common.
So sometimes I start hoodie and then I'll have a t-shirt and then I'll have a tank. So I'm 3 layers. And I'll work out with the hoodie for a good 20 minutes until I'm sweat. Now I'm sweating, we lose the hoodie, we're in a t-shirt. Work out for a t-shirt for a while, and then when I get to a point where I'm like really struggling, now we're tanked.
So I
Like
thought people did that because you wanted to wait for your
Like you're
pump
warming up the. Oh,
so
okay.
that you looked better once like your layers. That's what I thought when I see
I
people.
think a
I didn't
lot
know
of
there was this other angle
I
to
think
it.
a lot of people do. I like it because it like gives me a little bit of an extra gear.
It gives you like a breath of fresh air. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like
And I
oh, you
remember
feel a
it's
little
the same
lighter.
thing with like soccer where it'd be like you'd be running and you'd be so tired and then all of a sudden you pop your shirt off. Now you got a little bit of an extra gear. Dump some water on your head, you get a little
Yeah.
extra gear.
Okay. I mean, I'll try it. I
Yeah.
can tell I try it.
Yeah.
I'd say
Give it a look.
I see what you're saying about like giving you feel like
It's just a
you're in a different
mental,
mode.
it's
Yeah.
completely in your mind and it's 100% mental, but it's just like when you're feeling really
Yeah.
tired, sometimes just like shedding a layer of clothing shouldn't make any difference, but like it
No.
actually mentally gives you a little bit of a boost that like, okay, I
Yeah.
can keep going. Um, Main idea, you're not a machine, but your body functions like one, so you need to always kind of keep that in mind. I think like talk all the time about like what you're feeding it, not just like food, but also like I think like the TikToks and the Instagram reels and some of those things are like horrible for you, and it's not that like I'm judging it at all. I get caught on Ariana's phone all the time, just
Everyone.
like on Instagram. Now, like I'll do some reels. She has the bubble game.
What's that?
You don't want to know.
Oh,
Just like you're moving bubbles around, trying to like match them up, and
sounds so good.
it's so addicting.
I mean, I did it with Candy Crush.
Yeah,
Got
it's
the
similar to
level
a Candy
level
Crush.
12,000 or so
Yeah.
before I retired, like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
But he talks about like Pavlov and obviously with the dog and like
yeah,
you have a response mechanism that you can train yourself to and how like his example was like a phone ringing and like you can have the habit of answering the phone when it rings because it was
yeah,
1960 or you can ignore it and like kind of retrain your mind to a different habit. And
yeah.
like now, today, it's our phones where
It
we have this
is.
response mechanism where it goes off. You look at it, even when if it doesn't, if it's in your pocket, you can feel it. You want to grab it. If it's
Yeah,
on the couch next to me, I want to grab it.
yeah.
It's
That was
we're
one of the.
trained. Trained
We
ourselves to
are.
do it, and you can train yourself to not do it. Like if I put it in the room,
Hmm.
after 20 minutes, I don't think about it
No,
again. So
and
like
your
you
focus is
have
so
to
much better on what you're doing.
you're that helps me be a lot more present
Me too.
in the moment if I'm with people and I'm like not even in my pocket, like
Yeah.
farther away, which is crazy.
I want to eventually get rid of it, but it's just
Same.
we're so conditioned to be like
I need maps,
maps and checking on people and music.
music, and books.
Yeah,
Like I need one that doesn't like
take
that's already
control.
so many things.
I know.
You know what I mean? But like I've gotten my screen time down. I've deleted social media where there's times where I'm like I don't have anything to do on my phone right now, which is
Yeah,
good, and I still am looking at it.
yeah, me too.
Um, but that's a journey.
No, that is. And then anything else
Like how
here?
he says, like some scars are good or bad depending on how you get them.
Yeah,
Like you could have a scar on your
that
face
you're
from
proud of.
like a fight with a saber-toothed tiger, and like
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Versus if you were like drunk driving or something, and it's more of like an embarrassment to have.
yeah, totally.
Um, could and that kind of completely changes how you feel about it. So really, it's not about the scar.
Yeah.
It's about like the experiences that you've had and your image of yourself. It's like the big thing.
I would recommend this to everyone, is one thing that I would say
Yeah.
about this. Like, there was a lot in here for everyone because there was a lot of different things. There was even something about like when children have stutters, like studies show that the parents
Mm.
that the way they kind of phrase it and address it can like lead to it getting considerably worse instead of it getting better and eventually fading out over time. That if they like say, you can't spit it out or like why can't you spit it out instead of like, putting a positive.
It was like how you describe it versus like I failed the test versus I'm a failure is like
Yes.
two different things. Like one's
Yeah.
like a very contained instance versus like picturing yourself as like something that can't get it right.
Yeah.
It's like and even just like those little changes, mental models that you can have
Yeah.
help. Like for me, one that I have heard that I try to use is like instead of saying I have to do something, if you just say I get to do it,
Yeah.
it literally changes. So like I have to go to the gym in the morning. Like oh, I get to go to the gym tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
like it.
literally changes the
The way.
whole meaning of that
Yeah.
sentence. Like I get to go to work versus like I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
things
you're
like
right.
that are like for me are really cool and helpful because they're so easy to
That
kind
is.
of put in your mind.
I like that. I gotta start doing that.
It's a goodie.
I remember Kat when he was younger, like he was trying to do vocabulary with my dad, and he just got upset and went into the bathroom and started crying and just yelling out like I suck at vocab.
Nice.
And now, after reading this book, I would have went up and been like, "You suck at vocab, right?" You
You
know. So easy fixes
suck
there.
at this vocab.
Yeah, yeah, makes
But
a big
it is
difference.
like even when dealing with like kids and stuff, if you can kind of just really lightly
Yeah.
tinker with how you are proposing and saying things, it has a big impact.
And we talk all the time about just like needing reminders on a lot of this stuff. Like, I love that we actually own this book because I will go back to this book and
Mhm.
do like a chapter some days when I feel like I need a productive day and I need a chapter and then put it into action. I think that this is a good book for
It
that.
helps your confidence. You're like, oh, okay, like I'm actually like not that bad. I'm actually pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I can do things. I could try new things.
yeah,
It gives you like some excitement to like do and try new things versus, sometimes it's very easy to just get comfortable doing only the things that you know you're okay at
yeah.
versus branching out.
All right, ready?
I think so. Let me
Chicken
just.
nuts.
He did say at the very end that you reach your mental peak at 35.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that right
I
now.
am
I'm
too.
peaking. I'm peaking, and it lasts until you're 70.
Well, we always
So
say,
that I thought was cool too.
yeah,
So like he was kind of saying at the end, like people speed up their aging process by hitting 70 and then assuming that they're old and stopping everything.
yeah,
Versus if you were to keep doing all of the things you're doing, you can kind of like keep living life longer,
totally.
literally and
And the
figuratively.
retirement thing, it's like people retire and
Yeah.
then they immediately die because they just feel like they lost all purpose. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I had was disease,
Yeah.
dis plus ease. Like it's the anti-ease. Like it's two words combined. I never
Okay.
thought of it like that.
Nah.
I thought I was like, holy shit. Stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this word is not just its own word. It was like
Yeah.
combined because like of the because people probably thought of like all the stress and bad things that were causing like
Yeah.
diseases and stuff. So it
And he
was like this
says
person's
that it's a
not
good
at
thing.
ease with
Yeah.
himself and it's causing all these problems.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He talks about that with like appendicitis, that your body's reaction to it is like necessary in order
Yep.
the pain for you to then go get it
Yeah.
removed and all that stuff. Last question for you.
Nice.
How close to reality do you think your personality is, like in your own mind, to what other people view you as? Like, if you were
Yep.
to sit down and like think about the version of yourself, how close do you think you would be to like other people that know you?
It's awesome. It's so weird that like you have this idea of yourself and like each person you know has a different idea of you and they're probably all totally
And you
different.
never thought about it.
You never talk about it. I'd say I'm probably somewhere in, like I'm not completely delusional,
Yeah,
but I'm also will hear things and find things out and be like, oh, I had no idea people thought that about me, like
same.
all the time.
Like I'll know it about me, but I won't expect people that don't know me that well to know that I'm like that.
Right.
Like I know I'm very stubborn and stuck in my own ways, but like I heard people at work, like I remember saying like I'm stubborn,
But you
and
think
they're
you're hiding it at work.
yes, and then
So
they said
yeah,
like very sarcastically like, "Oh, you think?" Like, and I was just like, "The
yeah.
fuck?"
I've gotten stuff like that before where
Like
like,
I thought it was very easy going at work.
yeah. Well, yeah, like when I was rooming with like Liam and like Sully at different times
Yeah.
and like Amy, I remember they were making fun of me for being like difficult as a roommate because I like things a certain way
Hmm.
or something like that. But I, in my head, was like I was the easiest roommate because I didn't care about anything. I was like totally
Yes.
cool with everything. But they
Yeah.
each came to like that. They
Same
each had that moment where
conclusion.
they were like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
about me, and I was just like, wait, what?
And
Like
it's
I
also,
was awesome.
and they're not, yeah, they're not even things that I think you think really define you or describe you, but I think they're things that definitely factor into
Yeah,
like your
or
own self-image.
yeah, it's like, or yeah, I'm like, yeah, if I like certain things, whatever, I think that's it. But I'm also cool if they're different. So
Yes.
clearly, maybe I'm not as cool with it as I thought. If everyone
Yes.
noticed that, because if I was, they wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly. And if you thought you were hiding that pretty well, and you weren't hiding it well at all, what else are you hiding that you think that you're hiding that you're not actually
Right,
hiding?
like that, the work thing. Like, I would love to know. Like, try to act. I act very, very different at work. Like, I
Yeah.
try not to like bring like so much stuff in and just act, like keep it light and keep it
Yeah.
professional. Like, what do they all think?
Yeah.
Like, do they think I'm just like quiet, working hard, one of the best employees I've ever seen? Like,
Yeah.
I think they think, or do they think I'm like stubborn,
Yeah.
ass, doesn't know what he's doing,
Weird. Yeah.
weird, like
That's what
socially inept.
I get that a lot where like people just be like, "You're one of the strangest." You know? Like you and Jen, like, and things that I don't necessarily think are strange, like where, like Jen, I told you called when we were doing the vaccine
Right.
podcast, we were doing it virtually, and she was
Okay.
like, what are you doing? I was just like, oh, I'm just getting ready to do a with Paul about the vaccine book we just read, and she was like, "You guys do this like for fun?" Like,
Like,
was very concerned, and like
you said
Jen
it as a
knows
normal
me,
thing that everyone might
yes,
be doing.
and Jen knows me about as well as I feel like anyone knows
Yeah.
me. So for her to find that strange, knowing me that well, like if she's finding things I'm doing strange, like I might be really strange.
You're, yep. That happened this week with Dracula,
Yeah.
where and he's like, "What's going on with you today? Like something's going on in your head." And I think
Yeah.
I'm like acting totally normal,
Yeah.
and I just like I can't concentrate
And like,
today. Like I'm thinking all day about Dracula. And she's like, "What?"
yeah.
And I have to like explain this whole thing to her, and
Yeah.
like that's happening all the time.
I know.
And it's like I'm not I'm not pretending to be a regular person as well as I think I'm pretending.
Yeah.
And that's the whole self-image
Yeah.
character armor thing where like you try to put out this image of yourself and it's not you're not doing as good of a job as you think. And
No.
it's also like kind of constraining you.
Yeah.
Um,
So back to the original question, how close do you think you are? I guess like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think if you took everyone in your life that knows you really well and we were to write down like, what do you like and, just like how cool you are or
yeah.
how
So one is I'm like completely delusional and I have no idea what people think of me.
and
And 10
10
is
is
I'm
like
spot
spot
on.
on.
I would say so one thing that's easy about me is I think I'm really predictable. So people do kind of know like what I like and don't like and
Yeah.
like I don't I'm pretty narrow on my hobbies and things.
Yeah.
Um so I think that I'd be pretty good at knowing. But I think the like softer items of eh, like I might think I'm not stubborn at all and like other people might think I'm really stubborn
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I think I have those two like canceling each other out. So
Yeah.
I give myself a 4 probably
Okay.
to
So
be
you
safe.
think that's
I think like
that's
I'm
a
not
little delusional.
yeah, I'm a little
That's
delusional.
closer to delusional than spot on.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between a 4 and a 6, I think.
Well, let's
And I
ask
want to
this.
be on the safer side of not trying to like overestimate myself.
What would you put yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 of just like how strange you are? Like the things that you do being strange.
I think I'm high. I gotta be like,
Be honest with yourself. Like if you were totally like not take what like other people think out of it.
oh, what? Okay,
Yeah. Like do you think that you're doing strange things? Because me personally, I
not at
don't.
all.
Yeah.
Not. I think like literally, I'm 100% certain that everyone should do the exact same things that I do in a
Yeah.
given day.
That's
Like
where
there
yeah.
should be no variance in what
That's
everyone's
how
doing, and it should be what I'm currently doing.
that's how I finally figured out that I
Okay,
was like weird
okay.
and strange. Is I really don't see what I'm doing or why people would think that I'm strange.
Right, like I'm only doing all the best things.
Yeah.
100%. Like,
I'm just being very
but
authentically true to
I
myself.
do know that other people think it's weird. Like
Yeah.
I'm like if the way I'm eating or something like that. Like I know people think it's weird.
Yeah.
Like if I go to a birthday party and I see a birthday cake there
Yeah.
and I take it and I throw it into the trash. I think that's not weird at all because I'm saving everyone at that party
From the
from the
poisons.
poison that's in that cake.
Yeah.
But most of the people at that party think that I'm acting weird.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm lower than a 4.
Yeah.
I might be like a 2. But
But
I know
but you also
I
don't do that.
know
Like you haven't done that. You think about doing that, but you
I want
don't
to
do
do it.
that.
I think it's more normal to do that than to eat the cake.
Yeah.
And but I know it's not accepted by society. But I know I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Like I'm aware of that difference between me and everyone else at the party. So I
Yeah.
don't know on the scale where that puts me. I know it puts me just away from society.
It
Like
does. It
I need to
does.
be constrained somewhere.
I mean, just as far as like think about like social media.
Where do you think you are on that?
Oh,
It sounds like we might be in similar boats here.
yeah. I think yeah. Before you said 4, I wanted to say like 5 or 6 that I'm aware of
Mm,
it,
it's hard to
but I'm aware with it, but I also don't agree with it. You know?
that's the problem.
Like I don't
Like I'm right.
agree. Yeah. I don't agree with other people thinking I'm weird. I think you guys are weird.
I'm the only normal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So I think there's that. I think that I don't love that, but I think that also makes us a little bit more. What's good about this book is like what he says is like you want to authentically be yourself and not just like
yeah.
hidden in the shell. And I don't think
Yeah.
we're like afraid to like be our true selves out in public. We're not
Yeah.
even that afraid to be our true selves and post it online.
I think what we're doing well with it is that we are self-aware and then we can be different in a funny way
Yeah.
versus some people are do it in a not funny way, where they're like actually they're mean to people about it. Where like
Yeah.
if you eat a certain way and you want other people to eat that way,
Yeah.
or you think that they should,
Yeah.
like you could be a real dick about that,
You could.
or you could just be you could be funny about it and like do
Yeah.
your own thing and like have these funny stories,
Yeah.
or like do the book club and do like your own thing versus like just being a dick to everyone and trying to get everyone to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead, we kind of just make a joke about it.
We do. And I think, yeah, I think you have to. I think that is something that probably wasn't talked about in this book that I also feel like has come up in a few of the books that like laughing actually like releases endorphins. And I just feel like all it is hit or miss with that. Sometimes like the happiest people, the funniest people
He said
will
if
also kill
your
themselves, but
muscles are fully relaxed, you can't be angry or upset.
yeah.
So, and I think that is probably true, or at least on the scale where like the more relaxed you are in a situation, the less upset you'll be at something.
Yeah.
Like if you're in an argument with someone, and this happens to me all the time, like I'm spazzing and I'm wrong, but I think I'm right,
Yeah.
and Amy clearly can see it, and she's very relaxed and is not getting upset because I'm so clearly wrong, and I don't see it till like weeks later.
Yeah.
Where, or if the other way, where like you're not gonna get upset by something that's like so out there. But if you are getting yourself riled up about it, like you could easily like match that energy and like it becomes like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So
I do need to sometimes reel it in though when I make a joke out of everything and someone's being serious and
all the time,
yeah,
all the
I
time,
have to catch myself. I got to do a better job of that.
all the time.
But yeah, I think just yeah, that is
Good
I think
book.
it's a good thing to do, but yeah, good book.
Sparked the good debate. I really like that question because that gets into my mind sometimes
Yeah.
where I'll hear these things and I'm like, oh, like wait, what do people think about me? Like
Yeah.
I think I'm everyone just thinks I'm like chill and awesome. It's like
Yeah.
not even
That's
close.
what I would have said about me as well.
Yeah,
And
chill
then
and awesome.
yeah. And then someone will just be like, "You're like the strangest dude
You're
I've
like,
ever met."
we're worried about you.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
All
So,
right.
rating. This is a hard one to rate. Because
Uh,
for me, like, I enjoyed it. It's not Untethered Soul or Liberated Mind,
okay.
but it's better than, um, maybe like A Road Less Traveled
Yeah.
and, um, How to Know a Person.
It's also different than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
It's different than the Depression
Yeah.
book.
Glad I read it. Like, would recommend it.
Same.
Um, so I think that has a I just don't know. I don't know what these numbers mean anymore. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah. I got 4.65.
Mm,
And I think
that's right.
yeah, I think right in between is right.
That's accurate.
It's it's not high enough in the fours to be a 5 star, but
Mm,
it's not a low four. I
right.
think it's not in my it's not in my top 10, but it's gonna be in my top three self-help books.
I think it goes Untethered, A Liberated Mind, and then this.
See, I would almost put this above Liberated Mind.
You might have to reread A
I
Liberated Mind.
might,
But
yeah.
yeah, again, but there's different things that people can take from these.
I think it's also, you're right though, like
So like again, it's very
expectation,
personal,
yes, and expectation is huge. And I think where you are when you read the book
right?
in
Like
your
I
life,
needed A Liberated Mind
and
when I
it
read
came
it,
right at the right
and
time.
it
Yeah,
came and it helped me a lot. And there was some
that's how I
things I
feel
really
about
liked
Untethered
about
Soul.
it.
Yeah,
Same with Untethered Soul.
yeah,
At the time, I needed both,
same.
and they came. And overall, good book. Should we
Easy read.
easy read, easy listen? Um, should we pivot to book number three? Something we've never done before.
Yeah, what time are we at?
Only hour 38.
Yeah, that's pretty good for us.
Like this, if we were to end here, would probably be our shortest episode.
Yeah, I
So
think
we'll,
we're making good pace.
yeah. And all right, so Comanche. This is Empire of the Summer Moon.
Yeah.
Um, so this is
How much were you able to go back and
I
listen to reread?
re-listened to the first maybe 3 hours, so like five
Okay,
chapters.
that was
So
good.
that gave me a really good reminder because I think some of the beginnings were like the best.
I agree.
Um, so to get backstory for this book, I read hard copy. This is this book helped spark the book club.
Yeah.
So I read the hard copy of this. I think I got it for like when I went on honeymoon like 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and I heard it on Matt and Shane. I think Joe Rogan talked about it. And I was like, whatever, I'll try it. Read it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Books are sweet.
Books are cool.
Yeah.
And then we never added it to the book club list because I had already read it. and but I had a hard copy, so I figured let me just throw you the hard copy. Whenever you get to it.
Yeah.
And now here we are, actually able to just throw it in, unplay it,
Yeah.
and so give me your initial thoughts.
So I did half hard copy, half audiobook.
Nice. That's the best.
Yeah. Um, Loved the hard copy. I thought it was a good book to actually read, rather than listen to. I feel like
Yep.
when I listened to it, I was getting a little bit lost and confused.
Yep. A lot of
Um,
names,
yeah,
tribes.
yep. Beginning, I liked really a lot. I think my first note is just like, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I need an actual like scale of like how long ago a lot of these things were. Like when you said like the first person, I have no idea whether that's like, 5,000 years ago or whether it's like 5 million years ago.
No
Like
one knows,
I
and
have like,
everyone disagrees.
yeah, I have like absolutely no understanding of it. And then the Indians and the settlers, if you said like how long were they fighting before, we essentially killed them all and claimed the land for ourselves, I would have said like, I don't know, like 10 years, And it's like, it was like 200, 300
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
right? Which is like, so that was my first thing is like, for like 200 years, which is such a long time, they were trying to kind of live in like equanimity.
They were trying to chill.
They were trying to
Hmm.
chill.
They were at least trying to not eradicate each other
Yes.
too much, too bad.
And then all of a sudden, I think like anything else, like profits started getting involved, and then all of a sudden they started having real problems.
I think so. The whole book is about the Comanche, on like the Western Plains, and how like settlers started to move out west and like run into the Comanche, and
Yes.
there's a whole. We'll get into like the whole side story of like very specific
Cynthia and
people
Parker, and
within it, which is awesome. Um, essentially, like the a lot of the Indian tribes in the east, like northeast and like southeast, were
peaceful.
a lot further along in like their advancement in civilization than the
Yeah,
Comanche were. Comanche were like 3 to 4,000 years behind Europe.
yeah.
So think, yeah, like, and Europe at the time. So then
They're
in
going
the
through like the Industrial Revolution.
yeah, in the east, you at least had some like agriculture. So people were settling into like little tribes and they had food planting. The Comanche had none of that.
No.
They had no concept of good or evil. They had no religion. They had no leaders. They didn't have, there wasn't like one Comanche. It was all just different bands
Yeah.
that would kind of travel together with buffalo. So there was no rules out here. So like
No.
they came east and to the east, and it was probably a little bit peaceful with some of those Indians, maybe for the most part, or at
Yeah.
least some. And then once you get to the Comanche, it was a completely different ballgame.
Yeah. And the Comanches were bad to everyone except for other Comanches.
They were a bunch of bad hombres.
Yeah. They like, so like the Spanish were in Mexico and they started moving up into like the Texas, New Mexico area, and then they were fighting with the Comanches. And then the Comanches essentially won that. And then,
Comanches essentially stopped Spain from taking over the entire United States
yeah,
through Mexico and Texas because they just could not figure out how to deal with these people. They didn't
no,
know like they don't the bands don't talk to each other. They
no.
have no
And there were so
structure. They
many.
always think like, oh, we
Yeah,
talked to this one leader and we made a pact with them,
yeah,
and it would never stick because first of all, it was bullshit, and
yeah.
second of all, the other ones didn't know about it, so
No.
they would continue to fight in different bands, and the Spanish just could never adapt and figure out like how to handle like all
Yeah.
of these Comanche.
And then they brought horses into the scene, and the Comanches just pretty much killed them and took their horses or
And
stole their
so they
horses.
brought horses, and the Comanche were so much better at horseback riding than them because they'd never
Yeah,
seen a horse before, but
no.
somehow
They
super
like,
quickly
yeah,
just were the best
which was
horsemen.
really cool.
So cool. Like
Yeah.
they would ride on the side,
And like shoe,
and then
yeah.
like if they were getting shot at, so like
Yeah.
only the horse would get shot,
Which
which
again, I would have said like some of these things like we'll find out in the books that they just do the shit in the movies. Like
hmm
one of the things that we read in that book that we hated, I won't even say its name. They said like the Vikings didn't actually wear like horns.
hmm
That's just like something that they did in the movies
right.
and all that. And it's like that makes sense. I would have guessed the same thing with the Comanches, that there's so many movies where they show like Indians like go to the side of a horse and like just be doing like these
So
fucking
sweet.
tricks, and I would have never thought that was real.
So cool.
Turns out it was.
Comanche were like they were short, they were ugly,
Yeah.
they were like kind of like brutish looking,
They were just
but like
warriors,
they
like,
were just warriors.
yeah,
They didn't have um like even within their society they had no structure. Like
no,
if you were a dude, you pretty much they were like let me get a bunch of wives because they would do the buffalo skins.
yeah,
So like if I had more wives, I can get more buffalo skins. So like if you took your friend's wife,
yeah,
like that would be really bad. But if he then gave you like 10 buffalo skins in return, like then you'd be chill.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like it really like
No,
didn't
yeah.
follow anything like in what we consider normal currently.
Yeah, they'd literally no rules, and it was like, yeah, that was the example that they gave was like, they had no rules, but like if you slept with another man's wife, and then I was expecting like the next line to be like they're gonna kill that person
Right.
because they're such savages, and it was literally like then they'd have to really pay, like it'd be like
Yeah.
10 buffalo skins at least,
Yeah,
and you'd
it's
just
like
be like,
okay,
oh,
so
that's it?
it's not bad.
Yeah,
But and they also had so much land. So they cover like
yeah,
Comancheria, they called it, was like Texas to like Utah,
yeah.
Colorado, Omaha,
And
Kansas,
what
like
was the
all the
number?
way
It
up
was like
north.
200,000 or
Just
something.
yeah, hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands, like all acting independently, just following the buffalo.
Yeah.
They just owned the whole region, and they if like Spanish would settle
Yeah.
somewhere, like they would do raids. They wouldn't
Steal
have
their
like normal
horses.
battles.
No.
They would just raid, the camp at night or something,
Yeah.
and just
Steal all their stuff
steal
and
all
then
the
leave.
horses,
Yeah.
take all the women,
Yeah.
and just like brutally murder like everyone.
Yeah.
Like they were bad, bad
Yeah.
boys.
And then, so that's the thing, over 250 years. That's a long time
This
to be
all
neighbors with, like,
this was all 1700s, into the 1800s, and a little bit in 1900s, I think, even, which
yeah.
is crazy because that's not that long ago.
Yeah. And I think it was just, it's too long of a time to, like, not speak the same language, be doing, like, some business, but really have, like, no sort of rules. Like,
Nothing.
the Comanches didn't try to, like, own the land, they just lived on the land. So, like, people would sell the land to other people, and that's actually how the Cynthia Ann Parker started.
Should we get to that backstory?
Yeah,
So this was like when I read this, and the first chapter kind of starts with this backstory. I was like, "Holy shit, this is an awesome
yeah,
kind of situation." So there's this family, the Parkers.
yeah,
They, so people were like essentially just given land in Texas
yeah.
because nobody wanted to move there because the Comanches, and they didn't know.
So for a few $1,000s, which I guess is a lot, but a few $1,000s, they own 16,000 acres of land in Texas.
Insane.
So if they were able to hold on to that land,
Right. So they get there and they're like, we are chilling here. They built this whole fort
yeah,
and they're just living life. And it's like a couple brothers and sisters and like
yeah,
all their little kids and some old people.
16 people total.
Yep.
They were just they became farmers.
And I think a few, like two or three Comanche come up to the gate.
Yeah,
And one of them, they say something like, "Oh, we need some food." And he's like, "Oh, that's chill. I'll go get you something." And he like
yeah,
leaves the door open,
hmm,
and then essentially they just swarm in and raid this house and this fort, and it's the most brutal thing. And he goes into description
yeah.
like you wouldn't believe.
It's
And I wrote it some down.
I did as well.
Okay, you go first.
So basically, all the men were out like farming and doing what they
Hmm.
needed to do, but like the farm was not next to the fort. So like all the able-bodied men were like out of the fort, and then an elder walks out to kind of greet the Indians because it's literally like this
Hmm.
elder and then all the women and the children in the fort. So he goes out and tries to like be peaceful. They literally scalp him on the spot, cut off his balls and penis, and then go in and start raping and killing the women and babies. Um, Cynthia Ann Parker was a captive. I think she was 17, and then oh no, she was younger, right? And then at 17, she eventually gave birth to Quanah, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know how old was she when she got taken by them.
So one of the people that gets taken is Cynthia Ann Parker.
Yeah,
She's 9.
she's not okay.
So first, just last few last things on the raid. people were like scrambling, they're running around trying to escape because now all these Indians are like coming in and
Yeah.
like going crazy. They um they took Granny.
Yeah.
They make her watch them club, mutilate her husband.
Hmm.
Then they rape her.
Yeah.
Then they stick a lancet through her heart.
Hmm.
Dead.
Yeah.
It's like this is the kind of things that they would be doing. Like a normal raid would be people are full of arrows,
Yeah.
scalped skins, scooping brains out,
Killing.
tying people between wagon wheels and
Yeah.
setting them on fire. Like it was completely brutal. But
Killing babies, like just it'd be like a baby would be too much money and too much work for them to raise, but like a 9-year-old girl, they thought she's old enough, she's not gonna cost us that much money. We can try to maybe acclimate her to our tribe and also potentially rape her when she's older, sell her for money.
yep. So then they knocked out all the women.
Yeah,
Well, but like people were trying to escape, and eventually they caught them all.
yeah,
And they knock them out. They drag them by their hair to like or whatever, and they take them. Rachel Plummer, who was one of the people, she was like a little bit older at the time,
yeah,
who got kidnapped, ended up like writing a lot of this stuff down during her captivity.
yeah.
So she got her ankles and hands tied behind her back. They put her face down and beat her over the head till she struggled to not suffocate in her own blood. Then they would gang rape all the women and force the children to watch. One of those children,
Cynthia
9-year-old
Parker.
Cynthia Ann Parker.
Mhm.
So so essentially, like all these are women are now captives, and they end up having to live with these Comanche and like roam with them and like essentially be their slaves for a while. So Cynthia Ann,
But they're also like teaching them their ways. And like for her, she started essentially dressing like them and
right?
essentially working for them. And then you just
She
become part
adapted
of the
well.
tribe,
Like
yeah.
she eventually adapted well and kind of became like a Comanche woman herself. Like
A-
they respected her
And
enough
it's
after like a
also like
really long time.
yeah, it's also like she was at like the perfect age where it's like if you're 9, they're gonna almost like acclimate you in, and if you don't cut it, they'll kill you. And if you're actually helping the tribe and like doing stuff, and she was like doing the skinning for the buffalo and working really hard and all that stuff, so she was able to like make it through. But if you're too young, you're a liability. You're gonna die
Yeah.
because they don't want to feed you, and
Or tool. So Cynthia Ann Parker, she grows up.
yeah,
She ends up marrying the chief of the band that had captured her. They have a son. Their son is Quanah
Quanah, yeah,
Parker, um, who is now only half
half breed,
Comanche, half white, but he becomes like the most powerful Comanche chief.
yeah.
So all this time, the white people in Texas are trying to get revenge for that raid that happened like years ago, and
Yeah,
they're trying to like capture back Cynthia Ann and the others that were still held hostage that were still alive.
yeah,
So now you have all of these people whose main enemy is the son of someone who was captured, and like that whole
yeah,
plot twist was insane.
yeah,
Like, that was so cool.
yeah.
I was so hooked on that.
And pretty surprising that the Indians would let someone be the leader that is like half
Right.
breed.
Like I guess he was just so badass. Like they had fun, like Quanah means odor.
Yeah,
They had funny names. Like
they
one
had
of them was
such
like
funny names.
Coyote Vagina.
Yeah,
And like someone was like doesn't
erection that doesn't go
yeah, like
down.
doesn't sit down, like stands up too much and like
She who smells bad.
all funny names.
Which is actually like really hilarious. Like I thought all the Indian names would be like, like the panther rising over a moon, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
what like Simon Ken kind of made it seem like,
Yep.
but they were actually just straight clowning people.
Yep.
Like what does
Mm.
Quanah even mean? That's probably some
Odor.
yeah, it's probably
Odor.
some horrible.
Yeah. So then you have that all going, and she and Cynthia Ann was in one band. Rachel Plummer was in another band. She was older than Cynthia Ann, so she
Yeah,
was pregnant at the time. She ends up having the baby.
they killed the
Um,
baby on the spot.
they took after 7 weeks. They're like, we don't want to feed this baby. This baby's dragging us down.
Yeah,
They took her baby, strangled it in front of her, handed it back to her. When it showed signs of life, they took the baby, tied a rope around its neck, and dragged him through prickly pear cactus. Then they dragged him around from the back of a horse around like 100-foot track.
yeah,
And it's just like,
savage shit.
this is like not anything that we can even
Comprehend.
relate to
Yeah,
happening. And it just shows how different, Like they were 4,000 years behind where we are now.
Yeah, it's also, I think it's funny with the religion, and we talk about like the Ten Commandments a lot. And like, I really just believe the Ten Commandments came from like a bunch of people
Mhm.
that were trying to all of a sudden live in a society for the first time, and they decided like, hey, we gotta have some fucking rules here.
Or God gave it to Moses when he parted the seas and the
That,
burning bush.
but also probably like we gotta have some rules here. So like it really feels like just like, hey, these are common sense things. Can't go around just like the Comanche thing. Can't go around just banging other people's wives and then just like giving them like a few bear skins and then calling it a day here. Like we gotta be better than that.
Create a civilization.
Yes. And like the Comanches had none of it. So like I don't think they even like they said that in the book a couple times that they had like no sort of like understanding between morals and right and wrong. They just did things that made sense to them
Like they
and
did, like it was like
generation after
funny, like
generation, yeah.
right, like think about like 4,000 years. Like that's not like 1,600 is 400 years ago.
Yeah.
So like it's still like another 4,000 years beyond that. So it's like something we couldn't even comprehend.
Yeah. It's also what made them such good warriors is like the only thing that they really believed in was like, we're gonna take what we need and we're gonna have no qualms about it. But I think it's also what led to like the reputation of like Indians being savages, and I think it hurt the rest of the tribes that they
Yeah.
all got tucked into the same umbrella. And meanwhile, it's like the Comanches were their own thing. They were killing other Indian tribes. They were hated by other Indian tribes. Like they were
They
just
would
as bad to the other Indian
they
tribes as they
tore up
were.
the Apaches.
Yeah,
That I wrote this down. The Tonkaways had killed a few Comanche, whatever.
yeah,
They then obviously needed their revenge. They got them all, cut off their arms and legs, scalped them, cut out their tongues, and burned their limbs on their own fire. And then some of the bodies that were left that they amputated the arms and legs off were wiggling around like worms. So they took those bodies and then put them on the fire to burn them alive.
yeah.
And it's just like that was just like a Tuesday afternoon.
For
Like that
them,
was just
yeah.
like, yeah, this is what we're doing today.
No qualms about
And
it.
that was those were other Indians
Yeah,
too, so it was like they were literally just kind of their own thing.
yeah.
They were,
And I think, like you said, I think
mm,
because they were like that, they probably really helped America become America.
mm,
Otherwise, the Spanish, the French, whoever was trying to come into that land from the south, from Mexico, from South America, like they would have accumulated land really quick, and it would have been really hard to get them off.
yeah.
The Comanches
They were
were
like, we
there,
don't want to deal with these
yes,
freaks.
and they were like perfect because they weren't building anything. They had no intention of building
Yeah,
anything. They literally would just roam and follow the buffalo for like thousands of miles.
yeah. Like across like those huge states out in the
Yes,
Midwest, and
yeah.
like he talked a lot about the weather, like a little bit in the beginning where we
I was
listened.
kind of surprised by that, like
I
the
think they had
how cold it
40
was.
to 50 foot snow drifts. I was like, does
Yeah,
that not happen now?
yeah.
Um, Whereas like people would get lost going from their barn to their house
That
during the middle of
is,
a snowstorm, which is crazy
yeah,
how scary that would be if you're in a snowstorm and you like
yeah,
can't find your house and you just like freeze to death. That
totally.
would be horrible.
Side note though, it is weird that like we went through like an ice age and people never talk about it like ever happening again.
Yeah,
Like if the weather can just change where like the entire world is just like covered in ice, why would that not happen again?
it will. And
And
that is way worse than any global warming.
yeah,
Cold is worse than hot.
yeah.
Hot, you just go inside, you hop in the AC. No big deal.
Hot though could be bad for farming.
Yeah, but you gotta get
That's why Trump probably bought Greenland.
right. We gotta prepare for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, and then the whole book is like a cross between like the history of the Comanche overall and their ties to like the how the U.S. was formed and like that underlying story of like Cynthia Ann Parker, Quanah Parker, and like
yeah.
Rachel Plummer, like during her captivity, and because she wrote down a lot of this stuff.
Which is crazy.
And I thought, like, I'll be honest with you, I loved it. I love this book so much.
Yeah,
It was one of the first books I read, so maybe I'm biased.
yeah.
But like even re-listening to it, there were so many moments where I was just like, holy shit. Like he goes like full
Yeah.
descriptions and like it's
Well,
just awesome.
it's the Simon Ken thing. I wish that we read more books like this in high school. even elementary school.
See, they don't teach Comanche because it doesn't fit the narrative of like Native
Indians,
Americans were like peaceful and we just
yeah,
came and like brutally
murdered
took
them
over,
all.
which
Some were,
some maybe we did,
yeah,
but there are also some bad boys.
yeah,
Comanches were the bad boys.
yeah,
They're also the bros because they loved drinking
yeah,
and gambling
yeah.
and just like doing fun ass shit. Like they'd be like,
The horse racing,
right, like
shit,
let's do
yeah,
horse racing, like let's target
yeah.
games and stuff like that. Like
No, they were
they
definitely
were
the
pretty
bros.
sweet.
Yeah,
So like there were times where I was like rooting against them,
yeah.
and times where I was 100% rooting for them.
I think it's also that question of like, is the strides that we've made necessarily a good thing or a bad thing? Like, is nobody having one? We're still having wars, so let's not pretend like all of a sudden we're not
We're like
like,
good people now. They
yeah,
were
yeah.
bad
All of a
people.
sudden we're not doing wars anymore, and like we're not killing
No,
people. We're still killing plenty of people. We're still killing plenty of
more,
innocent people. Yeah,
probably more.
but it's just like, are we better off just like having bigger houses, sleeping in like little things than we were just like riding on the open?
All I want to do is just ride with the buffalo.
Yeah.
Just so
Buffalo going this way, we're going this way.
we went to the zoo yesterday,
Did you? Which zoo?
right here at Van Park.
Okay, my parents go to that a lot with the
Yeah,
little train.
yeah. We went
Yeah.
on the train, and one of the first things we saw was there was two bison,
Oh yeah, yeah, out far.
and I was like essentially like these are pretty much like buffalo,
Yeah,
and I was just imagining myself just living with these buffalo.
with an arrow just
And
right.
arrow, like when I needed it,
Yeah,
we take one down, we eat it.
and they would have the entire buffalo. So
Yeah.
like they said, like kids would like run over. This made me think of you. And they would like eat the liver raw.
Yep.
They knew they needed the vitamins because they were growing boys. So like they were like instinctively
First thing
like,
they do.
give us the liver, we'll eat it right here on the spot.
It's again, people want to make fun of eating liver.
Yeah,
It's what humans do in these types of tribes.
yeah,
If like a shark eats like a whale or something like that, the first thing that they eat is liver. Like
liver.
same with like lions and everything.
Yeah,
So obviously
the best part.
it's that. So Rachel Plummer, it's like the especially because she was like a slave, had to do a lot of like the grunt work of making buffalo skins. I really liked
I like that part too.
was so to make you have to scrape the
The meat.
skin off the bone.
Yeah,
Then you apply lye, which is like soap, I think. And then you rub the buffalo's brains on it to soften it.
yeah.
And that's how you do it. And I was
Uh,
like, well, I'm at the zoo. I'm like, if I'm not gonna do it, but if we needed a buffalo skin now,
I
everyone
gotcha.
just look at me. I wanted to
Yeah.
tell everyone else there, like, I got this if we needed a buffalo skin.
How much? Think how much pride you would feel though
Wearing that,
with doing that and then
doing it,
wearing it.
like
Like
it's brutal, but
I got
it's
a
like
TP.
the TP structures they have are sick too. They fold them
Yes.
up, collapsible. They move
Yeah.
around. They're never in one spot. The
But now all of
best,
a sudden my TP's going over. We're talking about 40-foot squalls here.
obviously.
Yeah, I need a buffalo skin in this TP right
You're
away.
gonna need a couple skins.
Yes. And like, think of the amount of joy that would bring you to not only kill the buffalo, but to then eat it and then use the hide inside your teepee and then use the bones for arrows and literally like every part of the buffalo being
Yeah.
used.
Well, it's like in Psycho-Cybernetics, like people are happier when they have a goal in mind, and like you
Yeah.
can't just like be chilling with nothing going on, so you
No.
become miserable. And like these people at this time, like
Yeah.
were so focused on survival that like you were doing these awesome things, and like
And economics just came in
you
and just
didn't
like,
need to go to sit in an office all day to feel
no.
satisfaction and be like,
Yeah.
well, I got that promotion. I worked real
Yeah.
hard for 10 years and now
But
they gave me extra,
I know. And we came in as white people and just immediately burned it. We were just like, "Hey, Indians, we actually like these skins as well."
And I got an idea. We're gonna
Yeah,
all build some buildings. We're
yeah,
gonna sit down all day. We're gonna
yeah.
stare at some
But we're
papers.
gonna we're gonna give you these papers for the buffalo skins. And then all of a sudden the Indians were like, "Oh shit, like we can use these papers to buy other shit." So then all of a sudden, like the first people that were trapped in that loop, Indians.
Ah,
Like they were the first people. Like because then all of a sudden the Indians they said started to kill more buffalo
mm,
because they were selling it to the whites, and then they would use that
mm,
other stuff and trade for other
yeah.
stuff and
So
like
like even the white people then like they actually never really won against the Comanche, but they just ended up realizing that like, oh, these people are so reliant on the buffalo.
yeah,
We don't have to fight the Comanche. we just have to kill the buffalo.
Yeah.
So there was the whole part about how they kind of like were developing like guns over time, and they ended up
Yeah.
getting a gun that was good enough to like kill
Shoot
a
it from a
buffalo in one
distance.
shot.
Yeah.
And there'd be a whole herd of buffalo. And if the buffalo didn't know where the shot came from, even if a buffalo right next to it got shot in the head and fell, the rest of the buffalo don't move.
Yeah.
So essentially, you could just sit there and just pick off buffalo,
Yeah.
and they would pay these like drunk dudes that would just drink all day and like murder buffalo,
Yeah.
and they would kill like a million buffalo each. Like
Yeah.
each dude killed like literally like a million buffalo, until to the point where their Comanche like slowly died off
Yeah.
because they didn't have their food source. And then
It is crazy, like how we got rid of the Indians, and just like the
and then like
worst.
I think I don't know if the buffalo are extinct in the U.S. or
Yeah, I
like
think
very
so.
close to it,
Yeah.
but like there used to be like 100 million,
Oh
and now
yeah.
there's like 15 or something. I don't know.
So disappointed.
Yeah, because buffalo are cool guys.
I would also love to just like go to Costco and get buffalo meat.
Well, they have bison at some things.
They
I
do.
don't know the difference between a
They're
bison and a
Costco's.
buffalo, but I'm using them interchangeably because I saw a bison yesterday, so I
Yeah.
want it to be a buffalo.
And I want to say bison. This is actually definitely wrong, but I would say they're almost like farmed buffalo.
Okay.
That it's like we've now just started
Mm,
farming the buffalo and we call them
I
bison.
think I can get buffalo milk from
The
where they're
farm?
milked from the
Yeah.
farm. We're gonna look into that. Um, but what else was in this one? They said, oh, like they were like the Comanche were gross. So like Rachel Plummer was
Didn't
shown with
shower.
them, like they
Yeah.
would pick lice out of their hair and eat it. Like that would
Yeah.
always gross people out. A
Yeah.
delicacy was warm curdled milk from the stomach of a buffalo calf. So like yeah, you kill a buffalo calf, and then it just drank from its mother, so it had literally the milk in its stomach still, and you would take the stomach out. Like the way that they would eat these things, they would drink the blood right from a buffalo's veins, and
Yeah.
like they were they were in there.
Savage. Yeah.
They were nature guys.
They were.
They were in nature.
Yeah. I think they got some things right. I think those things.
And then I guess like so this is probably where I kind of ended on stuff I reread.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, like the second half of the book is a lot about like the history between them all, and there was like a lot of battles and stuff, which are really cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of it at like the end, I think I got sad a little bit about when the Comanche ended up like some of them finally got into like reservations, and they essentially just like crapped out.
Yeah.
And like I was at that point, I was rooting for them. I was like, no, I kind of want these Comanche to like ride and wild again.
Yeah.
Even in the beginning, I was like, look at these savages. Like
Yeah.
everyone thinks they're all sweet and innocent.
Well, I mean, I think anything coming to an end like that,
Makes
and
me
like from
sad.
200,000 to zero,
Yeah,
brutal.
quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like and the way it went out too, like was so like they had no choice
Yeah.
essentially. Like was so against their like instinct. Like they're like the Japanese where they would like
Yeah.
fight to the death,
Yeah.
and like they were like they're not going to be taken prisoner,
No.
and like for them to kind of like slowly be tricked into
Yes.
this
Disease and
was a
and
sad ending. I wish
yeah,
it went. At least they
like
went
a
out in like a
huge
blaze of
battle.
glory.
Yeah.
Like
They would have loved that.
they would love. That's how they
Yeah.
want to go. You know. Um, did you have anything else? I'm trying to think. Like I read it so long ago. I only remember like the stuff I really reread.
Yeah, I was a little bit all over with this one. This one
So what
was
happened with
like
Quanah and Cynthia Ann? Like Cynthia Ann, like they had a number of chances to rescue her, and she
she like
refused.
wanted
She was
to
like, "No,
say,
I'm chilling with these
yeah,
Comanche. Like I'm happy here." She didn't never, and even there was even a time I think where she went back into like the white world,
they
and
like
she
tried,
could never like
yeah.
reinvigorate herself, and she like ended up going back.
Well, I think they like tried to sell her at one point because they like had the opportunity, and she was like, "No, I'm not going with them.
Right.
Like, I'd rather stay."
Because the Parker and Plummer families were like, "We're
All
getting you
that,
guys back. Like
yeah.
we got effed up in this raid like 20 years
But
ago."
it was also like all the Parkers that she knew, all dead.
Oh yeah, they got
Yeah,
completely like the murders and maiming
yeah,
descriptiveness that this author used. I think his name was like S.C. Gwynne
yeah. So I
was
think it was like this
excellent.
distant
Rape
relative.
of Nanking level excellence of just pure not holding back.
It was, and I think that is something that like I would have thought that from like movies and shows that like the savagery would be legit, but
The stuff with
I
like the
also thought
babies.
maybe I know I also
Whew.
thought maybe they like make it worse for like TV and
Mm,
movies to make it seem like worse than it actually was. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Like it actually was like way worse than it's like portrayed, and just they almost like were like torture wasn't even torture for them. It was just like curiosity. It
Yeah.
was just like what's gonna happen to this baby if I tie a rope around its neck and drag it from a horse for 20 miles?
Jesus
Like just
Christ.
horrible shit without having like any sort of qualms. Simon Ken, we know like some of the torture that they would just have him like just like again, it's like out of curiosity though, almost of
I think
like
in
what's
Simon
gonna happen
Kenton
if
they
they
took
run on the
the
coals.
intestines, tied it to a tree, and like made them like walk around the tree until all their intestines were
Yeah.
like
I just weird shit. And like even the other thing was like they'd have like a party and then they'd have them like do like a run of death where you'd have to like run on hot poles and everyone
mm,
would be hitting him with switches, like little
yeah,
branches. And if you didn't make it all the way to the end, you'd have to restart and do it again. It's just like that's like a gym game,
yeah. It was like
like thought
pool
of by like
noodles,
kids.
like kid
Yeah.
pool noodles.
Yeah. So like I think there was like they just didn't have any sort of morals or consciousness like
Yeah,
on that level.
it worked in their favor for a really long time until they ran into like muskets.
Yeah, just technology that
It,
was
it outpaced them too
yeah,
much. Like they were like, "Oh, horses! Like awesome, we can do horses better than anyone."
yeah,
But then guns, it's like, oh, once the other person has a gun and you don't,
yeah,
you're in big trouble.
yeah. And I and then all of a sudden like yeah, I mean just the time frame too was like they were running around in 40-foot storms killing buffalo with arrows and horses. Meanwhile, it's like we were in houses building guns and
Yeah,
all
like there were
this stuff.
towns and there's
Yeah,
like no civilization and like
yeah,
there was like it's just after like the Renaissance and
yeah,
like all this stuff. There was like music and
yeah,
art and stuff
yeah.
and poetry,
And
and these guys were like
they didn't change it
eating their
at
own
all. Yeah,
lice
the
still.
only
Yeah,
change that they made over the 250 years that I could tell was they stole a bunch of horses and got really good at riding horses.
yeah, and that only that helped them.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
definitely helped them, but it was like that was the only real positive change that they made.
straight up savages, but boy, were they good at what they were good at.
Good guys.
Good guys. I
Yeah.
like them. Overall, I'm glad you got a chance to read it. We got a
Yeah,
chance to like throw it in here.
I think so. It was a
Uh,
good like add in. Also totally different than the two books that we
yeah,
had on
like I
this
wish
second.
I didn't. I wish we read it in like real time, like
Yeah,
live, and were able to do it. But I'm glad we got it in.
yeah,
Sneak in another book. Should we rate it
yeah. I'll let you start as I write one down here.
for me or for you?
Uh, I'll
I'll just.
put, yeah, you go, you.
Um. I mean, I may be biased here, but I love this book. I love everything. I love everything about it. Um. Here's my debate.
Yeah.
Can I give it five?
I mean, you
Like I don't
definitely,
remember the second half if it tailed off at all, but
yeah,
the first 3 to 4 hours I re-listened to this week held up to it. So like I'm gonna just for safety purposes, I'm gonna give it like a 4.8.
I think that's fair. I got 4.5.
Okay.
So I think it was
Wow.
like,
So under Psycho-Cybernetics.
I liked the first half a lot, and then
Did it slow up a little?
I thought it did.
Okay.
I thought it did, and
I kind of remember that.
also, some of it could have been on me that I was just like probably trying to get it done too quickly and wasn't as locked in as I need to be.
Right.
I told you, like, in the morning when I first wake up, when I throw on an audiobook, locked in.
Lock.
You get me at the end of the day. Focus gone.
It's gone. I do like a hard copy at the end of the day.
I do. It's easier to lock back in.
Yeah, but
Because
the
your
audio
mind's
is
not like wandering.
because so much happened in the day. It's easier
Yeah.
for your mind to wander for an audio, but
But I thought it really good, and I really liked like you said, I think the history of it and the details and just the different tribes and how they were so different from one another, I thought was really interesting too.
so cool.
Yeah,
Really cool. I would read another thing by this guy if he has it. I would read another book on the Comanche if that exists.
I would as well.
Um, Overall, 3 books, 3 really different books.
Really different. I
Um,
thought two in a tier above the other, but I thought,
yeah,
yeah.
different topics and topics I care about. I don't know, any closing thoughts? Wrap it up.
I'm trying to think. I almost like forgot about probability zero. Like as I was wrapping up these two, like I almost forgot we even did it.
Like just today, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think these two we had some good. There was some good stuff.
And then I also feel like we were in such a heater in terms of like strange books that were phenomenal. And this, I would say, I wouldn't like,
Evolution book is a book we would have given to Cole
yeah,
and been like,
sorry.
"Sorry, Cole.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, I made you read
It
that."
is. And like,
And
high
not
hopes,
right, and
really
not
high
because
hopes.
it's terribly bad
Yeah,
inherently, but it's a tougher read,
it
and
is.
it's
And then when you come out of it, I didn't come out of it feeling like there was any sort of like permanent change in my thoughts of evolution. I
yeah.
wanted there to be. Trust me, I wanted it.
I I feel like it helped solidify my argument for like evolution is probably stupid.
Yeah,
At least the way they teach it.
minimally, though.
You, well, it depends on if you're doing are we doing fixed rated bacteria and all that. We won't go back
Or are we
into
doing
it,
a
but
primordial soup?
yeah.
You
But
know?
we'll read another evolution book eventually,
Yeah,
and now we'll have some backdrop to like compare against it, and
yeah,
then like this is like with these self-help books, you keep adding on to your knowledge.
you do.
Like you're not gonna learn everything about evolution in one book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I also, though, don't like when someone's like, oh, the math is so easy. And then all of a sudden it's like you
Well, it's
say a
like
bunch. It's just,
evolution is so hard,
yeah, like, and I wouldn't even say like we're,
especially math
like,
in an
you're better at
audiobook.
math, considerably better at math than I am.
I'm not.
But I would also say math is one of my better subjects.
No one's
So
good at math in an
it's not like,
audiobook where you're reading out formulas and
yeah,
you're listening to them audio. Like you have to see formula,
I guess,
you
yeah.
know? Because someone's like 10 plus 2 and he's like to the caret 3 and it's like that's an exponent. And it's like
Yeah.
you can't be listening to that.
But if you all of a sudden start saying like the math is easy and all of a sudden you start
It's not.
dropping 10 to the negative 82nd
Yeah.
power,
I'm good at math
like
because I
I
was
can
like
get that that's a big
okay
number.
like sophomore year, but I'm
Yeah.
not good at math like a mathematician or statistician
Yeah.
is. It's good. It's a completely different level.
Yeah.
Like I'm not on that, so
But
I'm with
he
you.
also didn't say that it's on a different level. Like had
He was like,
he,
"You're stupid if you don't get it."
yes,
And I was
had
like,
he came to me first, right? Box Day comes to me and says, "Hey, I wrote this book about evolution being stupid." I've been like, love it. He'd be like, "I got this math in here. I want to see like how difficult is it for the common person to understand this?"
smart.
I'd be like, "Hey, you can keep these formulas, but you gotta add in a little thing like math for dummies about what that means."
Right. Maybe that was in the appendix, so we didn't read it. But
Yes.
I also didn't get the math. But you know,
And I think that's on him. He had a chance to convince two people that evolution's bullshit. He only convinced one.
so we did 3 today. We're gonna pick 2 more.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the description. Keep the comments flowing.
Love the
That
comments.
was,
That's
oh
something.
my God. Keep subscribing coming,
Yeah.
and we'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Later.